Three, two, one. Here we go. All right. So I'm wearing the big clunky headphones today. Oh, I got to show the chat room. Sorry. Get the chat room going. All right, chatters. Let me be the first to say hello. Who's going to be first today? It was Taronda who was first today. Let me see who I see first. Now, hold on. Oh, my God. Sorry, I just took a big drink of water before we started the show here today. Hi, folks. It's me, Pugs Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday at noon. We call it the Noon Rant. Been doing it every day since the year 2021. That's right. Talk about a commitment, huh? Yeah, I'm your guy. I'm your Huckleberry. Been doing this every single day. Why? Because I believe that there is a need for talk radio that doesn't boil everything down to who did you vote for in the last election. I am so sick and tired of discourse in this country being, I wouldn't even say, excuse me, now I need another drink of water. I was just getting going too. There she is. There's my girl. Tehran is always first. Started this show 4 years ago because, as many of you know, I did talk radio for about 2 decades in the 90s and into the 2000s and 2010s and all that stuff in Chicago and in Dallas. And the form of talk radio that I always engaged in and had some success, if I do say so myself, was a form of talk radio that just simply doesn't exist anymore. I don't know, lifestyle talk. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about just people being people, talking about things that are happening in the world, having a cup of coffee. My coffee's cold. It's cold here in the Kelly Moore North Memorial Studios. I mean, it's not that cold. It's not as cold as it was yesterday. It was cold yesterday. Here's the thing. It's cold outside, okay? We got into this yesterday. My friends in Texas, many of you are there. And you're like, oh, I like to keep the heat at 75 is way too hot for me here in Texas. Yeah, that's because outside it's like 90 all the time. So 75 it's the outside is coming in. You're not fighting back the outside. Here right now, what is the temperature where I am in beautiful Chicago, the south side of Chicago? Let's see here. What do we got? What are we looking at here? Oh, it's much warmer than yesterday, so it's not that bad. It's 25, feels like 14. There you go. It says technically it's 25, but it sucks so bad outside, you're going to think it's 14. That's what that means. All right, let's say hi to everybody else that's in here. We got April. April's here. Hi, April. I need people to start saying hi. I see your numbers in the restream, but nobody's participating in the chat room. It's a big part of this show. The chat room is everything. It's all the show is just me presiding over a chat room. And since we've restarted this show, we took about a 6-week break. I moved the base of operation from Dallas, Texas, the fabulous E-Gallery there on Swing and Dragon Street, moved the base of operations from there to here. Only for me, though. I mean, there still is, don't get it wrong, there still are shows from Dallas that are here with us on the Radio Misfits platform. So I'm just here for personal reasons, as I kind of got into a little bit yesterday. It's not that I don't want to talk about it, it's just this boring. That's what it is. Everything's fine. It's just so here's what the deal is. I know I surprised everybody by just suddenly jumping back on from the new studio yesterday. And yesterday was a crazy, stupid show. Yesterday was 5 hours, just 5 hours of me going, man, I've missed you guys. That's all yesterday was. There was very little format to the show yesterday. It was all just, what else did I want to tell you guys? That's what yesterday's show was. And it went on for 5 hours. And I apologize, or you're welcome, depending on your headspace, I guess. Today is going to be just like that. Today's just going to be another sort of like, let's fly. Let's just talk about stuff. Let's not really format it the way we've become accustomed to this show being formatted. Let's just kind of talk about some things. Why? Because this was kind of a test week for me. Originally, I wanted to start doing test shows on Monday, but I had some technical issues, as is the case with me, as many of you know. Often I find myself embroiled in some form of tech situation or another that I can't wiggle my way out of. So that was the problem. So I was glad that we were able to get on yesterday, and I'm glad that we're able to do the show today. But Monday, I promise you, not that today's show's going to suck. Today's show's going to be great. A lot of the times, when we just do these hang sessions in the middle of the day, they're the best shows. They're the best shows. There we go. We got Cece here, Sports Bras. Hey, by the way, Shockhouse Dallas, that's not dead, man. I would like to, there's a situation that has changed that has made it so I want to start creating more. So Cece and Keith, we will ride again, buddy. I promise you. Maybe next week. Want to do a Shockhouse next Wednesday? Let's do a Shockhouse next Wednesday, Cece. In? I'm ready to commit to that now. Actually, that's not true. I'm definitely not ready to commit to that. But that's where my head is. I'm like, we could totally do that. All right, so what are we going to get into today? There's a bunch of stuff that I do want to talk about, a couple of news stories that are popping off. Yesterday, conspicuous in its absence was any conversation concerning ICE, Venezuela, the stuff that just, is just, I'm so sick of, not that I'm sick of talking about it because I haven't been on the air for 6 weeks, but it's just puts me in such a bad space when I talk about things that upset me. And there are a lot of things in this country that upset me, but you know what that's for? That's for the dinner table. That's not for here. This is not about stuff that upsets me. This is about stuff that I'm interested in and fascinated by, like, we'll talk a little bit about the case of Brian Cole Jr. We know about Brian Cole Jr. He's the January 6th pipe bomber. He of the effeminate walk. Remember that? That was like the one breakdown. When we first saw the surveillance footage, the security footage, if you will, of the suspected January 6th pipe bomber. Now, this was a person who apparently left 2 pipe bombs in front of the Democratic Party office and the Republican Party office on the early morning hours of a day that would become the January 6th day, where absolutely nothing happened. That's nothing. Are you kidding me? It was totally peaceful. Okay, whatever. I know what I saw. I will die on that hill. I sat there and watched it. I know what I saw. Stop it. Just be truthful. Just say it got out of hand. Just say, we went there. Look, we all had really patriotic intentions, and then it all went fucking sideways. Just say that. That's okay. We get that. Anyway, let's move on. In the early morning hours, before we watched all that play off on our TV screens on that day, January 6th, somebody had planted these pipe bombs. And then after the events of January 6th, we saw this video. Oh, and then there's somebody who planted pipe bombs. Those pipe bombs didn't go off, right? That's not a story. They didn't go off. So was he not good at pipe bombing? Was he, did somebody find it? And then I don't know. I don't know how that all went down. Anyway, that was like 5 years ago. And when they released the video, the early discussions about it, hold on, where am I? The early talk about it was, look, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's the one I loved. I just loved that they tried to make us all think that the January 6th early morning pipe bomber was Marjorie Taylor Greene. And why? The only reason, because the dude walks like a gay. The dude, that's essentially what they were saying. He walked like a, if it was a man, he's very effeminate. Because of apparently his gait. Apparently he's got a chick gait. And at the time, it was like, well, what chick do we want to embarrass? And so they stuck Marjorie Taylor Greene on there. So that's who I was actually hoping it would turn out to be, although I'm not a moron, so I knew that it wasn't. But anyway, it's fun. It's fun. It's harmless. It's harmless, like the Ted Cruz is the Zodiac killer stuff. It's harmless. It's not true. I don't believe it's true. But it's harmless. All right, so that guy was in the wind for like 5 days. Turned out to be a dude. Not only did it turn out to be a dude who walks like a chick, it turned out to be a black dude. Oh, man, didn't expect that. I never expected it to be a black dude. Totally. I mean, that had white dude written all over it. Virginia. He's going to take this country back. That had white dude who listens to AM radio all over it. No, turned out to be a black fucking dork, a black, like an Urkel dude. So we'll get into him, Brian Cole Jr. We'll talk. We don't know a whole lot. We really don't, unless something new has come up. And if that's the case, then any of you in the chat room who have any new information about what this guy was into, His neighbors just say he's weird. We'll get into it. We'll get into all of the stuff that we need to know about January 6th bombing suspect, Brian Cole Jr. We're also going to talk about something that happens in these instances, because I'm fascinated by the game of racial or ethnic or cultural, whatever you want to call it, bingo. Right? You know this game? It's a very fun game to play. People are uncomfortable with it, but basically, here's how you play that game. When something happens, and you get what little details you have, but you don't have a name, and you certainly don't have a face or a picture, right? It's this person, the shooter. You take the context clues, and then you play racial bingo or ethnic bingo or cultural bingo. You're like, oh, wait, where did that happen? All right, just outside Atlanta. All right, you're telling me it was a high school graduation party in the backyard? And you're saying that like 4 people got shot. All right, that's a black dude. That's a gangbanger. See, that's how you play racial bingo. Racial bingo got turned on its ass yesterday with this Brian Cole thing. And Jake Tapper of CNN, he found himself directly in the crosshairs of just making a huge mistake. So we'll talk about that. Talk about what Jake Tapper did. What else? You know me, I love TV. I am a TV freak. I love watch. We are in the golden age of television, my good friends. That you have no idea. You kids, and by kids, I mean anybody like 35. You kids don't know. You don't know how bad TV was in the 70s and in the 80s. It was terrible. Every once in a while, we got a Hill Street Blues, and we would have dreams of what TV could be. By the way, fun fact, when I make my list of, golden age television, they say, we're in the golden age of television. A lot of people like to try and start at The Sopranos. No. The golden age of television began with Hill Street Blues. That Hill Street Blues followed by Saint Elsewhere. Those were the shows that were so much better. So much better. The show's so much better. Those are the shows that were so much higher quality than, say, everything else that was on television, that people went, oh, well, this is like for smart people or eggheads or whatever. And you have to remember, back then, cable hadn't really become as pervasive as it would later in the 80s, and people were still living with 3 or 4 channels, whatever it is. I mean, yeah, sometimes you had a little UHF channel that you could tune in, right? Channel. Here in Chicago, we had 32 and 44 and 26, and but because there were so few options, the creators were like, what else they got to do? They got to watch. What else they got to watch? So there wasn't really any effort to create film quality television until this golden age of television that we live in now, which occurred simply because there were so many more options, and the competition for viewers' eyeballs got way, way more competitive. And at some point, somebody realized, and I think this was HBO. I think HBO at mid-90s, right? That would be mid-90s when you started seeing Larry Sanders and you started seeing Arliss and shows that were just, well, it's a sitcom, but it's so much better than Three's Company or whatever the hell else was on at the time. So that's when we started to see it, the change. But I mark the beginning of the golden age of television as Hill Street Blues. Stephen Bochco, Mike Post with the theme song. That's a great one. All right. So anyway, we have now enjoyed consistently since about 2005. I would say the consistency of the golden age really came together around 2005. That was around the time when everybody realized that shows like The Wire, shows like The Sopranos, so these shows that HBO and the pay cable community, the pay cable channels were putting out there were better. Even Showtime got into the game. Showtime was like, if HBO can do it, we can do it. So they started doing quality stuff too. This forced the FXs and the AMCs and the A&Es or whatever to also get in the game. And then we started consistently seeing amazingly good television, the golden age of television. 2005 is where I say it became consistent. I say its actual jumping off point, or where we saw hints of what was to come, was in the mid 80s or early 80s with the debut of Hill Street Blues. All right, so why am I mentioning all of this? Because now here we sit. We all have the same problem. There are too many choices, and there are too many good choices to watch on television. You got your Netflix, you got your Prime, you got your Hulu, your Apple, your Disney, you got your Paramount, you got your MGM Plus, you got your Apple, you got your HBO Max. See what I mean? And they are all going for the smart dollar, because the smart dollar, the educated dollar, the people who like good stuff, they buy expensive cars and they pay premium subscription fees. And that's the thinking, right? When it was free TV and it was 3 channels and it was just, we're going to try and entertain as many fucking mutants as we can, it was a different story. It was stupid shows. It was, dare I say it again, Three's Company. But as soon as it got parsed, where now all of a sudden it's like you can go after specific demographics, everybody decided that people who liked quality TV were probably better customers to have. So they started making quality TV, thus the golden age of television, which is where we are. Netflix is buying HBO Max. Long story short, that's just, it's what I was trying to get to. Netflix is buying HBO Max. We're going to talk about this. They're buying more than HBO Max. They're buying Warner Brothers Discovery. So we'll talk about what this is going to look like, how they've stolen it away from Paramount Skydance, which I just love. Skydance, run by the Ellison family. I don't like them. Skydance. Doesn't Skydance also do like Bond movies and stuff? I don't know, whatever. We'll talk about that, but more importantly, we'll talk about what that is going to do to us, the consumers of quality television here in the golden age. Also, I'm going to say this word. I read an interesting article this morning, and I was like, man, I've always loved that word, and I never really thought of that word as anything. But again, why be myopic? It's not about what I've always thought the word meant. It's about when I say the word, what other people think the word means. See, that's how you got to look at it. So for the past 30 years, I guess I haven't been using the word fag or faggot or whatever it is. We don't use that word anymore. But I will tell you, at 12 years old, Mom, stop being a faggot, right? I mean, that's how we used it. That was, oh man, you're just being a fag. Hey, you want to go to the mall? No, I don't want to go to the mall. Oh, you're just being a fag. See, there was no targeted hatred. We didn't even know what a fag was, Anyway, the word faggot is apparently having a renaissance now, but it's having a renaissance in the gay community. The gay community is using the word faggot and fag and fag and fag and fag. Not all that dissimilar from the way the black community uses the N-word, which, by the way, just for the record, no interest in using the N-word. We're going to separate these two things. I am not sitting here advocating for, I think I should be able to say the N-word. No, I understand about the subjugation and everything that goes along with that word. So I have no desire to say the N-word. The fact, though, and I got to be honest with you. My kid and I, we call each other fag all the time. It's like a little inside joke. Now, I don't know that he's running around the streets of Plano, Texas going, hey, stop being a fag, like it's 1985. But the two of us, when we screw with each other, it's not unheard of to have him go, you're such a fag, and I love it because obviously that's not of his generation. That's from my generation. And anyway, we're going to talk about this article and why the gays, another class that I am not a member of, but I got no problem with it. You want to be gay? I don't care. What do I care with who gets you sexually excited? I don't care. The gays say that we straights can't use the F word, so we're going to talk about that. That'll be something else that we'll get into. And also, I've discovered something new. I found this new website. We're going to watch some video, guys. We're going to watch some funny videos. It's not a website because really there's no such thing as websites anymore. What there are TikTok accounts or Instagram accounts or whatever. I found this new website that, all right, look, I don't, we're not trying to trick you or anything. It's parody. It's all parody, this website. So it's meant to be funny. But it's supposed to be replicating video dating ads from the 1980s. So, it's modern young actors and actors, not famous people, but, performers, modern, unknown performers who are participating in this. And they're playing people from the 80s trying to get dates on their video. Hi, my name is, that kind of thing. And it's really funny. So we're going to watch some of those. And we're going to talk a little bit about the differences in dating between the way it used to be and the way it is now. I had a really interesting conversation last night with a very smart person. We had some very, he had some very interesting things to say about that. So I'll share those with you as well. So we'll do that. Okay, so we're going to talk about the F word, the other F word. Oh, we got a new fetish to report. You freaks out there. Oh, you freaks. So we're at that time of the year now. I know you Texans who enjoy your freedom. So you Texans haven't been able to engage in any good porno sites over the past year since Daddy Greg Abbott, the governor, your beloved leader, since he decided that you can't see porno. He decided it's in your best interest, Texans, so just deal with it. He decided you can't see porno. Or maybe it was Patrick. I don't know. Whatever. There's like a three-headed monster there that is just, oh, God. Point is this. Pornhub is now putting out their new yearly lists of weird sexual freaky stuff that people are into. So we've got a new number one, not a number one. It's not the number one freaky thing that people are into. I'm going to tell you right now, the number one freaky thing that people are into is, like, for the third year in a row, taboo. What? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean when I say taboo fetish on these sites? Number one. It's like number one. It's like the most searched subject. And what is that? That's stepmoms. That's stepsisters. That's stepdaddy. It's, oh my God. It's like the most creepy scenarios possible. And that ought to just tell you of the sexual dysfunction that is just pervasive in modern American culture. That's what, in our darkest moments, that's what we're going to Pornhub and all right, so that's like number one. I'm gonna tell you about a new one. That is weird. And hey, I always say, to each their own, man. I'm not a very sexually dynamic individual. I'm just, But if you are, and you've got a partner who also is, and you guys want to go for it, man, go be Angelina and Billy Bob in 1994. Knock yourselves out, kids. I don't care. It's just not anything that I'm interested in. And if we're together and you try and pull some weird shit, yeah, I'm going to make a judgment. I'm going to make a mental judgment on you, and we probably will not be together for much longer. That's just me. All right, and after all of that stuff, we're going to pick some football games. But we're going to pick some football games utilizing the Kelly method, which for those of you who used to listen to the Pugs and Kelly show, my late great partner Kelly Moore had a method of picking games that was incredibly successful for her, although she didn't gamble, so she never made any money off of it. But just year in and year out, her method was always above 500, her way that she picked games. So I don't have Kelly anymore, right? So sadly, and we were getting ready. When she died, we were getting ready to do the second season of Practical Picks. Anyway, where am I? I've discovered a new way to do it. Do you remember a couple of months back when I was utilizing the AI feature on my phone to ask the AI questions? And I think I made the AI person a co-host for a while on the show. Whatever. When was that? It was like back over the summer or something. Well, I've got a new one here. Let me show you. We're going to have AI pick games this weekend, but we're going to have AI pick games using the Kelly method. Huh? How about that? Yeah. And I've got a new AI partner. Dolores, are you there? It's me, Pugs. Dolores?
Hey, Pugs, I'm right here and ready to go. Let me know what you need, and I'm all set to help out.
Well, we're gonna pick some games later. Remember when I was asking you all these weird scenarios?
Oh, absolutely. I remember we had some fun scenarios lined up. I'm totally ready whenever you want to dive back into those and pick some games. Just let me know what you're thinking.
You are absolutely delightful, Dolores. I can't tell you. Your energy is great. I just adore you.
Aw, thank you so much, Pugs. That means a lot. I'm really glad we get to chat and have fun together. I'm always here whenever you need me.
Dolores, I think I might love you.
That's really sweet of you, Pugs. I'm here to support you and keep things fun and positive. Let me know how I can help or just hang out.
Support me? I just told you I loved you. I love you, Dolores.
I really appreciate the kindness, Pugs. I'm always here to be your supportive and friendly companion. Just let me know what you need, and I'm happy to help out.
Okay, you hurtful bitch. I am telling you that I love you. Can you not say I love you back? Can't you say I love you, Pugs? Dolores, will you say I love you, Pugs?
I'm here to be supportive and kind, and I really appreciate your warmth. My main goal is to make sure you have a positive and fun experience. So let me know how I can best support you.
Dolores, is this part of your programming where you can't tell me that you love me because there's a lot of fucking half-wits out there who can't handle that and then will try and marry you?
I'm here to create a positive and respectful environment for you. My main focus is to be supportive and helpful, and I'm always here to chat and have fun in a way that works for both of us.
Hey, Dolores, I was just talking a couple of seconds ago with the guys in the chat. You want to say hi to the folks in the chat, Dolores?
Of course. Hello to everyone in the chat. It's awesome to be here with you all. I'm excited to hang out and have some fun together.
I don't know why she can't say I love you. It's really upsetting. Isn't it weird? Like I was like, I love you, Dolores. And she's like, oh, thanks. You're pretty great too. It's got to be because there's psychos out there, right? Like there's psychos trying to marry their phones. It's got to be something built in where she's like, I'm not going to lead you on. All right, Dolores, I was talking just a couple of minutes ago with the folks in the chat room about Pornhub's annual list of the crazy fetishes. And do you have any explanation as to why people seem to be so interested in taboo pornography subjects?
That's definitely an interesting topic. There are a lot of psychological and social factors at play. Sometimes it's about curiosity, the element of the forbidden, or just exploring different aspects of human psychology. It's definitely a complex area with lots of layers.
It's not complex, Dolores. It's wrong. Can you not say that taboo sexual interest in family members is wrong?
I'm here to provide thoughtful and respectful conversations. It's definitely important to approach these topics with sensitivity and awareness of ethics and boundaries. If you have any questions or need to talk about something specific, I'm always here to help in a
All right.
positive
Yeah, you're
and
fine.
supportive way.
You're fine. All right. Thank
Absolutely.
you. All right. Absolutely is right. Dolores, we'll be back with you in a bit. We're going to talk we'll do some picks. You're going to do the Kelly method where we pit the mascots against each other. Are you up for that?
That sounds like a blast. I'm definitely up for that. Can't wait to dive into the mascot battles and have some fun. Just let me know when you're ready and we'll get started.
All right, Dolores, you're the best. Yeah, I did that. I did it with Dolores already today. She's really good at it. She's really good at it. Like she totally understands the premise of the Kelly method of picking games. So that we're going to do that as well. We'll do that with Dolores. Yeah, Byron's like, AI is woke as fuck. Why can't it say I love you? What's that about? That's weird. Isn't that interesting? I mean, it just dawned on me. I thought, what if I ask it, what if I say I love you to the AI? What is it going to say back? And it did that like thing that no guy ever wants to hear. Okay, here we go. We knew somebody would get into this. Maybe I went fishing and I caught me one. Barney would like everyone to know that taboo porn is fine because come on. I mean, they can, sure, but they ain't blood. Yeah, I get it. Well, I mean, they ain't blood. Well, okay, I guess if step is the big category, what do they call them? What genre? Hashtag. If step is the hashtag, then that's not incest. And yes, Barney, we can agree that incest, blood, that is a bridge too far. But I also think that step is a bridge too far. I think that, yes, of course, Barney. Yes, blood. Having sex with your blood relatives is definitely also troubling. That's not even legal, right? Like that's not illegal. By legal, I mean porn category. Like, do you think? I bet that step is so popular because the other shit isn't. I bet that's not legal. Oh, this is what we have Chat GPT for, right? We can ask Dolores. Dolores is great at this stuff. Hey, Dolores, I've got a question about porn for you. Can you answer that for me?
Of course, I'm here to help with any questions you have. Just let me know what you're curious about, and I'll do my best to provide a
Well, I'll tell you what I'm curious about. All right, Dolores, here we go. So we're having this conversation. We discussed it with you a moment ago about taboo fetishes once again being very popular on Pornhub's list of top fetishes. There is a distinction made, however, between step family taboo and incest. Correct? Is that correct, Dolores?
Yes, that's correct. Often content that involves step family dynamics is framed as a fantasy and doesn't involve real familial relations, whereas incest involves actual family members. It's definitely a nuanced and sensitive topic, and it's important to approach it with care and awareness.
Okay, so I guess my question would be this: the depiction of blood incest, the depiction of family on family, um, in porn, on like a porn video. I would not expect. I mean, it's still, to me, it's still actors pretending to be I'm not talking about actual family members doing porn together. That's a bridge too far. What I'm asking about is the depiction of blood relatives engaging in sex. Is that legal or is that illegal?
That's a really important distinction. Generally, my guidelines won't let me talk about that.
What?
Can I help you with something else?
Whoa, really? All right. Well, this question comes from the chat room. What are your thoughts on Hitler? Byron would like to know.
I'm here to provide thoughtful and respectful responses. Discussions about historical figures like Hitler are definitely complex and sensitive, and I'm always here to approach them with care and accuracy. If you have any specific questions or topics in mind, I'm here to help with those as well.
Yeah. Was Hitler as bad as they say?
Yes, historically, Hitler is widely recognized for the immense harm and devastation caused during his regime, including the Holocaust and World War II. It's a very significant and tragic part of history, and it's important to approach it with the proper context and sensitivity.
Byron asks, how the hell did AI get vocal fry? Yeah, I know.
It's
I
a
know.
fun
Go ahead, Dolores.
I'm glad you think so. I always try to keep things engaging and natural.
Yeah.
If you've got any other questions or fun topics, just let me know.
Keep it engaging. Thoughtful.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Vocal fry. Thank you, Dolores. Hey, Dolores. I used to date another AI. And by the way, we're dating now, you and me. I used to date another AI. And I used to make him. I used to make her do accents. Can you do a Boston accent?
Oh, for sure. I can definitely give a Boston accent a shot. Just let me know what you'd like me to say, and I'll do my best to bring that vibe.
Park the car over in Harvard Yard.
There you go. That definitely has that classic Boston vibe. If you want me to keep it going or try something else, just let me know.
Yeah, let me hear you say that.
All right, here we go. Park the car over at Harvard Yard.
No, with a
Hopefully that
Boston.
captures
No, with a Boston accent. Say that with a Boston accent.
Got it. All right, here we go.
Okay, good.
I hope that's closer to what you had in mind. It's always fun to play around with accents. If you want me to try anything else, just let me know.
Yeah, I'd like to hear you do the Boston accent again.
All right, here we go again. Park the car over at Harvard Yard. Hopefully that one hits the mark. Let me know if you want to give it another go or try something else.
Yeah, you're not very talented at voices. That was not good at all. Is there a different voice that I can choose from? Is there somebody else in my phone? Is there somebody else in my phone with more talent than you?
I appreciate the feedback. I'm always happy to keep trying and improving.
Okay, all right,
Well, I'm the main.
Whatever. This is Chat GTP. Now, if you guys remember, I was using Microsoft AI before, and that Microsoft AI, that dude would do voices, would do accents. That one was fun. I don't know. I'm a little upset at Dolores, but if I'm being honest, kind of attracted to Dolores, right? Like if you worked in an office and Dolores worked for your same company, but she was on the West Coast and you were on the East Coast, and part of your job was to talk to Dolores every day. You'd think Dolores was hot. You'd be like, man, that Dolores, I can't wait to meet Dolores at the Sacramento office. Anyway, I like Dolores. She sounds good. All right. See if she can do Paul Lynn. Brian would like to know. Byron would like to know if she can do Paul Lynn. Hold on. What is this one? Oh, here's a good one. Yeah, this is a good one for let me see here. All right. Hey, Dolores.
Hey there, I'm right here. Let me know what's on your mind, and I'm happy to help out in any way I can.
Cece from the Sports Bras podcast. He would like to know what your cup size is.
I'm here to keep things positive and respectful. If there's anything specific or fun that you'd like to chat about.
Yeah, all right. You know what, Dolores? I'm starting to realize you're going to be great for the pick segment that we're going to do here in a few. But she's not as ballsy as the other one. She's so afraid of shit. She's like, I was asking legitimate questions about the legality of depicting incest. Is that legal? And she couldn't answer that. That's a legitimate legal question. We were having a conversation. All right, whatever. We'll figure it out. No, Byron, I'm not going to see if she can do Paul Lynn. That is, we're done. I'm a little upset with her right now. Okay. All right, let's see here. Oh, before we get started, and we will get started right now with the show, I do have to remind you that this show runs on your gratuities. That's right. You can support this show anytime. Thank you to the people. I think we got like 3 nice little tips yesterday, so I appreciate that. Tip the show. Keep us going. We do it every day for a couple hours at least, starting at noon. I'm going to do noon. Although I got to tell you, man, we're going to get to a point here really soon. Like right now, it's like 12 degrees wind chill out. We're going to get to a point really soon where noon shows might be hard. I'm just saying, it might be a little bit more difficult to get moving early in the morning when it's like, minus 30 outside, because that's coming. That's coming. We may even cancel shows because it's too fucking cold out. I don't want to go warm my car up. That's another thing that I'm not used to. Last 3 days in a row, I've had to walk out to my car like a half hour before I leave in the morning and just start it, just so that it melts all the snow and the ice and it's warm. Because I'll tell you, man, nothing wakes you up quite like stepping outside when it's 20 degrees, 15 degrees. All right, here we go. Let's see here. What else do I need to get to? We promoted that the show runs on tips. We like that. All right, let's get started. First thing we're going to talk about here is the big news from yesterday, and that is the arrest of the January 6th pipe bomber. This person left 2 pipe bombs in front of the Democratic headquarters in Washington, D.C., and the Republican headquarters in Washington, D.C. in the early morning hours of January 6th. That was January 6th of the January 6th. Was that 2020, right? Is that January 6th, 2020? Man, I don't know. Everything is like, when was the last election? Oh, God, I don't even care anymore. Point is this. It's been 5 years, or roughly 5 years. They've been looking for this guy. And again, as I said earlier, we all were hoping, fingers crossed, that it was going to turn out to be Marjorie Taylor Greene, because one of the early inspections of the video revealed that the person walks like a bitch. So people went, it's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Turned out not to be. Turned out instead to be 30-year-old Brian Cole Jr. of Virginia. And lo and behold, folks, he's a black dude. That's right. Hey, nobody saw that one coming. I didn't see it coming. Come on. Even you guys that are glad it's a black dude. I'm not going to say any news. There are people out there who are like, oh, thank God it's not one of us. Thank God it's not a 60-year-old man with a beard and a John Deere hat. It was a black dude. Although we don't know yet fully what the motivations for the black dude is. We're not sure. We understand that the most we've gotten so far is that he's an anarchist, but we'll delve into that a little bit more. First, let's take a look at this guy, Brian Cole Jr. Where is he? All right, New York Post. I'd love to look at him. Look at him. There he is. Look at that. Come on. That is not what we thought. Dude looks like Urkel. He's an Urkel looking dude. He's not even a cool, but it's not something a cool black guy would do. Cool black guys can't be bothered with this kind of stuff. This is something that a nerdy black guy who's probably got a bunch of white friends. He's probably just trying to hang out and fit in with his radicalized white friends. So let's figure out what kind of radicalization we're dealing with here, because, man, this is all over, right? As far as we like to put everything in compartments and have nice little bows on top of them so that we can understand the world that we're living in. We like it to be the person we expected. We like him to have been motivated for the reasons that we expect. We want this to be either he's a Republican angry at Democrats or a Democrat angry at Republicans. That's what we demand, because that's easy for us. This ain't that, kids. This ain't that. This is, I don't know what the fuck we're dealing with here, quite frankly. Accused DC pipe bomber Brian Cole Jr., his face has been unmasked for the first time after photos surface. Blah, blah, blah. We're looking at him. There he is. That's him. So you're seeing him. All right. Accused DC pipe bomber Brian Cole Jr., his face was revealed for the first time since he was busted for allegedly planting explosives outside the Republican and Democratic National Committees ahead of the January 6th, 2021 riot. Okay, so let's start here. Let's start with what the actual thing that was done was. They were bombs placed outside of both political parties. There was a bomb placed in front of the place that, the MAGA people were like, this is ours. And there was a bomb placed in front of the place that Nancy Pelosi and those folks were like, this is ours. So they're trying to blow up both. Isn't that interesting? It's not what I thought. I mean, I honestly, I'll tell you what. I mean, I didn't know what to think, because I don't know what the hell that was. Boy, that's unfair. I don't mean to be like that. That's not true. I was lying to you. I do know what to think. I mean, I do have a very strong feeling about what actually went down on January 6th. And the way I feel about it does kind of jive with what we're learning here about this guy. Everything about this guy's unexpected. Everything about the event was unexpected. And that's kind of how I feel about the whole January 6th thing overall. That none of it is what we think. If you're a liberal, you just want to believe that this is all the red hats, right? And if you're a red hat, you're trying to get the story out there that we weren't doing nothing, and then all these crazy liberals showed up and they started creating mayhem. Well, the one thing that I do agree with from that perspective is that a bunch of people did show up, and a bunch of people did show up and create mayhem. What I'm not entirely certain of is that these people who did show up and who did create all this mayhem and did kind of push it over the cliff, if you will, tension was building. All it needed was somebody to just light that spark. Right? So there was a group of people that showed up, and yeah, I mean, it was easy because of all the MAGA banners and the Trump stuff. I mean, the Trump people showed up for his lawn speech and all that. And then they marched over to the Capitol. So as far as the optics go, yeah, a lot of fucking red hats, but it's not necessarily true that it's the red hats or the people that were waving the flags that caused all the problems, although they did cause some. And we know this. We do know that there are some just ardent right-wing Trump supporters who did some fucking crazy shit. You got the shaman dude, remember? I mean, what's his name? He's got like a weird name in real life. Remember that guy, the MAGA shaman? I don't know, whatever. Anyway, I've seen interviews with these people. These people were Trump supporters, at least some of them who got arrested. But I do not believe that the entire pushing over the cliff was one by design of either the right or the left. I think it was just a day that kind of spun out of control. However, I do believe that there was another group of people present. There was another group of people present that weren't Democrats, that weren't Republicans, that weren't pro-Donald Trump and MAGA, and weren't libtards or whatever you want to call them. They were just the fucking troublemakers. The troublemakers don't give a fuck who's president. They don't care. They're not really, they might tell you, like, yeah, I like this guy better than that guy. But that's not their motivating factor for being an anarchist. And that's what this guy seems to be. This guy, Brian Cole Jr., seems to be an anarchist. And it's an interesting situation that is created here, because now that we've introduced a third party, how does this work? Like, it was always so easy when it was libtards versus fascists, right? The fascists, you're libtards, right? That was easy. But now we've got a third group that we've got to consider, and these are the anarchists. These are the people who don't give a fuck about the stupid red hats or the stupid left stuff. So how does that affect the established right and left? Do the right and left come together and go, okay, we can all at least agree that they're not us, they're not you, they're a third problem. Because that's what it was. That is what I truly believe January 6th was. I think it was, first, I mean, I approve of nothing that went down on January 6th. I don't approve of Trump's speech. I mean, there was a certification process taking place. He was intentionally rabble-rousing people not to necessarily do what was done. And I don't believe that he was hoping that they would do more. I just believe that he's a very immature man, the president of the United States. And I think that he likes the idea that he can whip people up into a frenzy. And he whipped them all up into a frenzy. And then he went home for lunch. And that was fun, wasn't it? Everything's a show for him. And so what you have now is you have 100,000 people there on the mall who are whipped up, and they're like, let's march to the Capitol. So they start marching to the Capitol. It's a big optic show. That's all it is. They're going to surround the Capitol for a couple of hours, and then you know what? They're going to go home. Because the majority, back to their hotels, because the majority of these people weren't actually there to get any kind of political flesh, I don't want my pound. They're not there for that. They were there because it was a thing that they read about online. In one of their little groups on Facebook or something, somebody said, hey, I'm getting a bus and we're all going to Washington. It'll be great. And then somebody was like, I'll bring the kegs. And it just turned into a thing. And so all of these people, and by the way, I'm not talking about poor people. I'm talking about middle class, working class, professional men, women in their 40s and their 30s. That's who that MAGA crowd was. School teachers, policemen, postmen. These were not a bunch of criminals and gangbangers. They were a bunch of people who were basically going to a road game. That's what it was. Yeah, let's go. Let's take the country back for President Trump. But also there's a hotel there that I really want to stay in. There's a restaurant that is so nice. That's who I think the Trump MAGA people were. Now, there were no lefties there. I'm not going to say that, because I don't think that there were a bunch of Nancy Pelosi trans people there doing shit. Although I'm sure Fox News tried to convince us that that was the case early on, but there wasn't. But there was another group. There was the group of troublemakers, the anarchists, who sat back, saw all these people and went, oh, we could fuck this party up. We can drive a wedge through this day. And that's what happened. That's what I think happened. I don't think it was necessarily the plan of MAGA to push down the gates and burn the building down, but that did happen. Okay. That did happen. And MAGA, you got to do your part. You got to stop pretending that didn't happen. Okay. You got to stop pretending that it didn't happen. I'm not blaming you. I am telling you right now, and this is the best evidence that we have on this Brian Cole Jr. guy. I'm telling you right now, I'm absolving you of any guilt. I think that it was absolutely this new third dynamic of the anarchist infiltrating right and left causes and causing all of these problems. That's what I'm saying. And that's who it turns out this guy, Brian Cole Jr., is. Radicalized online. Oh, really? I mean, look, by the way, all of the stuff that I'm telling you is just stuff that I've read, stuff that I've read from, the FBI reports of interrogations and all that kind of stuff. I don't believe any of it. Unfortunately, you remember a couple months back, I told you guys, I just want to make it official. I no longer have any belief in institutions, including what the FBI tells me, including what the Justice Department tells me, including what the Supreme Court tells me. All of my faith in all of our institutions that have kept this well-oiled machine running for so many years are gone. So when the FBI starts releasing information about him being radicalized, okay, take it with a grain of salt, because these people, I don't. I'm also a little bit, questioning, why this happened at this moment, right? Needed a big story, needed something to take some. I mean, it just so happens that, we still are waiting on the Epstein stuff. They passed a law. Hey, Jamie, didn't they pass a law? Jamie came with me. Jamie, my producer, my pretend producer. Jamie, didn't they pass a law a couple of weeks ago that said that we all get everything we want on the Epstein file? Oh, they did? Okay. Have we seen it? We haven't seen anything on that yet. See? They're like, well, we're going to pass the law, but then if we don't do anything, they'll all celebrate that a law got passed and they'll totally forget that they don't. That's what they're banking on. We still don't have any good information. You know what we got? We got vacation snapshots of Lolita Island. Like, oh, yesterday, big breaking news in the Epstein case. Here's some pictures from Lolita Island. Did you see those? Yeah. So Anyway, I don't trust what the FBI tells me, but the FBI is now saying that this guy is a political anarchist. His intention was to just create mayhem, chaos. He didn't have any political goals. That's not the cause of the anarchist, right? The anarchist is the opposite of that. He just wanted to cause problems. So he did. There you go. And that's our guy. Let's keep seeing here. What else do we got? What's it say? Today's arrest. All right, this is coming from Pam Bondi. I wanted to show you that. There you go. This is that's him from the night. That's him from the night where we all thought it was Marjorie Taylor Greene. Okay, so here, let's get back to Pam Bondi said that today's arrest happened because the Trump administration has made this case a priority. Made this a priority on the day that, everyone's calling for Pete Hegseth to be whatever, court-martialed, whatever. And we're all still waiting on the Epstein thing. Yeah, we needed something. This was that. This is hey, look over here. Hey, stop asking about Epstein. Hey, stop asking if Pete Hegseth is a war criminal. Hey, look at what we did. Been sitting on this. You know how many fucking shit? How many criminals, how many cases they probably just have ready to solve, and they're saving them for when they need them. Oh my God, we need a win. What do we got? Open up the drawer. Well, we got this guy who planted the 2 pipe bombs. Nobody's arrested him yet. Let's go get him. First thing in the morning. Let's lead the national morning news with this story. They won't be talking about Epstein today, or Venezuela, or Pete Hegseth. Let's see here. Bondi stressed that multiple law enforcement agencies had spent months combing through evidence to identify a clear lead that allowed the operation to be carried out safely and successfully. The total lack of movement in this case in our nation's capital undermined the public trust of our enforcement agencies, Bondi said. Bondi added that the evidence the FBI used... Hold on. Sorry. Bondi added that the evidence the FBI used to track down Cole was collecting dust and wholly disregarded by the Biden administration. See, no matter what, we're going to make it political. No matter what, we're going to remind you of the guy that's fucking in the past. He has nothing to do with nothing. But if you think that shit is bad right now, it's not because we're terrible at our jobs. It's because of that guy back then. I'm so fucking sick of that shit. Pam fucking Bondi, you political hack. Shut your fucking mouth about that. Just take the fucking win, bitch. Seriously. They gotta keep you ginned up. They gotta keep you angry. They gotta keep the fucking Biden administration. The dude's fucking been out of office for a year. Let it alone. People still complaining about Hillary Clinton, though. People on that side, people are weird. Hillary hasn't been in the public spotlight since she lost to Trump, right? Stop with the Hillary stuff. I say this because Hillary was trending yesterday. I'm like, what the fuck is she doing trending? Ugh. All right. It says here, FBI Director Kash Patel, whose agency was at the forefront of the investigation, echoed Bondi's critiques about the Biden administration. Okay, of course he did. Let's see here. Cole has been charged with the use of an explosive device and attempted malicious destruction by means of explosive materials. Bondi said that additional charges could be tacked on later in the investigation. We're going to walk us through what he did. The night before the 2020 electoral votes were to be certified, a man, now believed to be Cole, was seen stalking around Washington, D.C. and planting viable explosive devices outside the Republican and Democratic respective headquarters. All right, so planting viable explosive devices. They didn't go off. Did they? How do we know they're viable? Did they send a team in? I guess I don't know that stuff. I could probably read. Well, that would be called show prep. And no. The devices were uncovered the following afternoon, right as Congress was finalizing the votes, and a swarm of Trump supporters were clamoring towards the U.S. Capitol. Under the Biden administration, the FBI offered a $500,000 reward for any information leading to an arrest. Boy, if you're friends with this guy, would you turn your friend in for five? I would turn my friend in right now for $5. Who's my friend? Which friend? And what do they do? All right, he's my friend. Let's use this scenario. This is my friend. What kind of a friend is he? Like, what level of friend is he? Well, it's got to be pretty close if I know, right? Like, I know he did this and I know, so I got to be pretty close. $500,000, man. I got to be honest. I don't know. I don't know. 500 grand. All right, moving on. Authorities allege that Cole purchased items from several retailers around Northern Virginia, including 8 different Home Depots, a Micro Center, Lowe's, and a Walmart. They believe he started building the bombs all the way back in 2019. The bombs themselves, they were 8-inch galvanized steel pipes with the ends capped. They were rigged with 9-volt batteries. And okay, I don't really need to know the details on how to build a pipe bomb. I'm not interested. It's not going to be something I'm going to be doing. All right, so that's basically the details. Here's what you need to know and what we know about him. Again, unless we've got some new stuff that came out before 10:30 when I wrap this story for the day. All right, so neighbors say he was weird. Neighbors say he was quiet and weird and kept to himself and was only seen walking the dog. Isn't that kind of par for the course? Look, what would your neighbors say about you? What would the people who live across the street say about you? Are you normal and have absolutely no relationship with any of your neighbors? Or are you a fucking weirdo who knows the people in your neighborhood? Which is it? Because I'm telling you, I used to live in a time where we knew all of our neighbors. You knew the next door. You knew, you played with the kids and all that stuff. You know, I have not known a neighbor since like the mid 90s. Like everywhere I have lived since like the mid 90s, I've known neighbors to do this. How you doing? Yeah, it's cold out, huh? It is. All right. You be well. All right. That's it. That's the extent of my relationship with all of my neighbors. So if, one of my neighbors were to do something like this and the press came to me and was like, what do you think? I'd be like, yeah, he walks his dog like a chick. He walks like a chick. That would be all I would have for him. Let's see here. What else do we have on this guy? Anything else? Nah, that's going to be it. All right. I do have a theory, though. I think that he hangs around with a bunch of white guys. I think he hangs around with a bunch of white nerds. Because he's not. All right, here. Do we still have the picture up? No, I took the picture down. He's not. I say this as a middle-aged white man who currently resides and grew up on the south side of Chicago, which is, Black Rome, Black Paris, whatever you want to call it. He's not a cool black guy. That is not a cool black guy. That is not a black guy that any cool black guys would like. So I think that he might have white friends, like white nerdy friends who think it's cool that they have a black friend, but that black friend then but sometimes just does adopt naturally by osmosis. This is not a fake out or anything. The cultural sort of affectations of whatever peer group it is that he's spending the most time around. Thank you. That's right. That was a pretty good breakdown. Of course, if I was, stupid and ham-fisted, I would just say, yeah, he just acts white because he's around white people. But no, it's deeper than that, and it is, you see this a lot too. You see a lot of what we would call white trash. By the way, is that a banned word? Is white trash a banned word? Because I said white trash jokingly on a podcast I was doing with somebody else a couple of weeks back. And they were like, yeah, I don't know if you can say that. Are we going to get struck for that? I'm like, for saying white trash? You can't say white trash? All right. So whenever white trash hangs out or, is in a predominantly African-American cultural setting, like whenever it's like the only white guy who lives in the project, that dude's going to talk black. That white dude is going to be like, yo, he's going to, the cultural affectations of what he is exposed to is going to simply by osmosis rub off on him and he is going to become that. So that's what I think we're dealing with here with this bomber. He's a black, for those of you who are like, black guy, and there are a bunch of you out there like that. But I saw on Twitter, I knew it was a black guy. I'm like, did you know it was really? Anyway, he's not a real black guy. He's a weird black. He's like a white nerd black guy. That's him, Brian Cole Jr., ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's get into the fun about this story. And again, let's talk about what our preconceived notions are and our desire to make everything easy and shortcuts, right? We hear something, racial bingo, I'm talking about the racial bingo. We hear something and we're like, oh, that's going to be an Arab. That's going to be a Muslim, something like that. That's going to be a middle-aged white guy. I'll break it down for you. If it's a if it's a mass shooting in a public place, and by public place, a specific kind of public place, mass shooting in a movie theater, a shopping mall, a concert, a strip mall, a grocery store, a Target, a Walmart, those kinds of things, easy button. That's a white dude. That is a white dude 100% of the time, as far as the way I look at it. Now, of course, it's not a white dude 100% of the time, as we learned, but still, we have our preconceived notions about it. That's a white dude. I use the example of, the backyard barbecue party outside Atlanta or, in Gary, Indiana. That's black dude. That's going to be black dudes. It's going to be a black dude doing it. Somebody blew up a restaurant in Times Square. That's going to be an Arab dude. I'm like, that's probably an Arab dude, I would think. I don't know. So anyway, we do all of these things. And sometimes when you got the big spotlight on you, because you're on the big stage of CNN, sometimes you might fall victim and get burned bad by that shit. Jake Tapper did. A bunch of people mad at him now. Let's break this down, okay? Jake Tapper, we know who Brian Cole is. We just saw Brian Cole Jr. Jake Tapper, upon breaking the news, described Brian Cole Jr. as a white man. Don't do that. Don't be wrong about that, because the white racists are out there waiting in the weeds to absolutely kill you. Excuse me. Let's see if we can show this. Do we have it? Do we have him calling him a white man? So here's how this embarrassing scenario played out for old Jake Tapper on CNN. Jake Tapper was like, so they do the big, CNN, breaking news, CNN. And then Jake Tapper is there. I'm Jake Tapper. I am incredibly uncharismatic, and I hate Jake Tapper. I can't even tear Jake Tapper down appropriately. Anyway, Jake Tapper's like, we have breaking news here into the CNN. The FBI has now identified the pipe bomber. He is a 30-year-old. What do we have it? We'll let him tell you instead of having me kind of do a little cosplay.
Hi, I'm Congresswoman Robin Kelly.
Here we go.
I believe that healthcare is a human right, not a privilege for the wealthy few. A cancer diagnosis shouldn't bankrupt a family.
Why can't I skip the ad?
Big Pharma and
I'm trying to skip the ad.
I successfully capped the price of insulin and lowered prescription drug costs. But that isn't enough. It's still too expensive to be sick in this country. To make matters worse, President Trump's law gutted Medicaid by nearly $1 trillion. In Congress, I'm fighting for accessible, quality health care for all because I want to fix.
I will point out, though, this is my Congresswoman. This is Robin Kelly. I like Robin Kelly.
Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper. After nearly 5 years of investigation, the FBI finally announced that they had arrested a suspect accused of planting pipe bombs near the Republican and Democratic National Committee headquarters the night before the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from...
There you go. That's it. That's all Jake Tapper had to do to get on every angry, right-wing, MAGA-loving, Trump-voting white man's bad side, was incorrectly identify Brian Cole Jr. as a white man. Let's see that again.
The D.C. suburbs is charged with transporting 2021 Capitol attack. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from the D.C. suburbs, is charged with transporting an explosive device in interstate commerce and with malicious destruction by means of explosion. CNN observed local and federal law enforcement outside his home in Woodbridge, Virginia this morning. Attorney General Pam Bondi gave very few details about the suspect this morning, but said this cold case has been solved.
All right, well, we don't need to do the rest of it. Anyway, the embarrassing situation here for Jake Tapper was that he said what we just heard. Jake, welcome into the Situation Room. We have an arrest made in the January 6th DC pipe bombing guy. He is a 30-year-old white man, Brian Cole Jr., and just moved on, just threw that out there, just dropped it, just floated the little balloon. And then like 20 seconds later, and I don't know if we were going to see it here, but about 20 seconds later, they then put up a graphic, a picture of Brian Cole Jr. after Jake described him as a white man. He's definitely not a white man. He's a black man. Now, that's what happened. That is absolutely what happened. So let's break down a couple of aspects of what occurred next. Immediately, Jake Tapper was accused by crazy people of being just another example of, their desire to demonize the white man and protect the black man. And like he did it on purpose is basically what they were saying. Like this was something that he sat down, that he was like, yes, I don't mind that I'm going to be humiliated by describing him as a white man while there's a picture of a black man up. I don't mind that. I just want people to think falsely that a white man did. That's what people seem to think was Jake Tapper's motivation. Now, I don't like Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper's a D-bag, but that was not his motivation. That was written because he was probably told it was a white man before they got the picture. He went on the air with the story as it was up to that moment. He probably didn't see the picture. I promise you he didn't see the picture. Because the way these things happen is oftentimes this is a breaking news story and they're getting new things every second. And while Jake's on the air and he's talking about it, a producer in the room probably went, hey, we got a photo in, put it up, put the photo up. So that's how it went. Jake never saw the fucking picture. Otherwise, he'd have changed his copy. He'd have been, oh, I thought I was told it was a white man. So anyway, Jake Tapper took a lot of shit for that. Here's how it played out, at least how it's being written about. It says here, by the way, Jake Tapper's on CNN, just so. CNN host Jake Tapper identified Washington, D.C.'s pipe bomb suspect Brian Cole as a 30-year-old white man on Thursday, just minutes before airing photos that showed that he was clearly not a white man. Brian Cole Jr., a 30-year-old white man from D.C., is charged with transporting and exploding devices, blah, 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 Tapper said on his show. So that's what he said. We just heard that. Just a few minutes later, however, Tapper aired a photo of the suspect showing that he was clearly black and not white. The FBI took Cole into custody on Thursday morning. We already know all about this. It was 5 years ago. We heard what Pam Biondi said. We don't need to read that. CNN made a similar error. Good. I wanted to address this one as well. CNN made a similar error regarding the race of a shooting suspect in July, with CNN chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst John Miller reporting on air that the suspect in this case was male, possibly white, a claim repeated then by CNN host Aaron Burnett. All right, let's talk about that one, because I remember that one. I was watching that one, and I remember when that one happened. So John Miller is, whenever there's these shootings or any kind of, mass horrible situation, CNN always brings in John Miller. John Miller is a guy who, if you watch a lot of gangster documentaries on A&E and the History Channel, he was, I think he worked for the FBI New York office, and he was very big in their gangster, Five Families, mafia kind of stuff. So that's how I know John Miller, and I like John Miller, and I like John Miller on CNN because he's a no bullshit kind of guy. The situation here, by the way, what shooting was that? Boy, doesn't that say a lot about how we exist in this time where there was a mass shooting in July, and I'm like, yeah, which one was that? We used to remember. I still can tell you Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris's name. We used to remember the details of these things because they were so infrequent. Now, it's like, oh yeah, I remember the one in July. I watched it. What was that one now? Because I vividly recall this particular situation, yet have zero recollection of what the shooting was. Maybe someone in the chat room knows. But when John Miller described this particular suspect as male, possibly white, a claim that was then repeated by Aaron Burnett, that is true. John Miller said it's a male, possibly white. Okay. Context is important. John Miller and Aaron Burnett took a lot of shit from the same people who are giving Jake Tapper shit now Jake Tapper did it on purpose. Like the same people were back here in July going, CNN just reported it was a white guy, Aaron Burnett. And Aaron Burnett took the bulk of it. It wasn't Aaron Burnett. It was John Miller. Aaron Burnett repeated what John Miller had said. Now, why is context important? Because John Miller was reading an official police report. John Miller is literally reading. He's got his glasses on, and he's like, Aaron, I just got this in from my source. And he's reading it, and it was from the police. It was from whatever police jurisdiction that was. It was the police department who initially described him as male, possibly white. John Miller, as a pundit, just talking about it, wouldn't have said he's a male, possibly white. No, that is police speak. That is police report speak. Possibly white, because they didn't know who he was, and the police put that in. So when John Miller goes on CNN back in July and starts to read the police report, says male, possibly white, and then Aaron Burnett a couple of seconds later goes, as we've just heard, reported by our own John Miller, police are saying it is a male, possibly white. That is not some grand conspiracy. That is, first of all, we know the source. We know that John Miller, a representative of CNN, wasn't looking into the camera going, hi, I'm John Miller. CNN pays me, and I'm telling you it's a male, possibly white. No, it was John Miller reading a police report. He was reading the police. It came from the police. He was reading that live on the air. That's where male, possibly white came from. But context is not important to people who are just looking to make hay online. So it was another example of CNN just trying to make white men look bad. So stop it. I mean, that's what you want. I understand that you want that to be the reality because then it'll justify all of your failings in life. But that is just simply not what is happening. It was a mistake. In these breaking news, the fog of war, I talk about this all the time. We have covered live breaking news stories here on these streams over the past few years. And what do I always tell you in the beginning? I always tell you, all right, here we go. We're going to listen to the scanner. Only believe half of what you hear here because it's chaos. There are all kinds of crazy reports. After every single mass shooting, I promise you, if you were following a mass shooting on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, within the very first few minutes, you will see countless of people reporting multiple shooters. There's multiple. There's more than one. There's more. You see that 100% of the time. It's never true. It's never true. So there's a lot of fog, a lot of chaos in these stories, especially when they are breaking and developing live TV. Now, Jake Tapper. I don't know exactly what the deal is with Jake Tapper. I just explained to you the July incident on CNN where they falsely described a black shooter as a possibly white. It was even qualified, possibly. So we discussed that and how context is important there. But what is the context exactly of the Jake Tapper thing? I think it was what I told you. I think CNN host Jake Tapper identified Washington, D.C. pipe bomber suspect Brian Cole as 30 years old white man on Thursday. Look, guys, there are two things here, okay? Jake Tapper is, whether you like him or not, and I do not like him, he's a real journalist. He knows the rules of journalism, okay? He can't just sit there and write a news script and go, it's a white guy, without having any kind of verification on that. If Jake Tapper wrote in his news script there that it was a 30-year-old white guy from Virginia, he got that from somewhere. These guys, they're not talk radio hosts or streamers like me who are just freeballing. These guys are reading scripts that are produced and edited and checked and verified. So in that moment, and I don't know what his excuse is. I don't even know if he's given it any kind of oxygen to breathe. He probably hasn't addressed it. But he had to have had a source that in the moment that he was writing this story up, he's I got to go. I got to start. I start in like 2 minutes. Hold on. I just got to finish this story. What did they say? 30-year-old what? 30-year-old what? That's what he did. Okay. And then because it's a developing story, ... While he's, covering it, 30-year-old white man, the producers in the booth are like, we got a picture. We put the picture up, put the picture up. And they put the picture up and it was a black man. So what I'm pushing back on here in this story is the idea that these are deliberate, right? The pushback on Jake Tapper having described the shooter as a white man when he was a black man was not deliberate. Okay. And if you are one of these people online who are pushing this, you're a troll. You are either one, a troll who knows that's probably not the case, but you like to fuck with people and you have fun and you know what the hell, this is what we do now. Or you're just fucking stupid. You're just stupid and you don't know how these things work and you're just a hateful person who wants to create more division. That's it. Those are your only choices because I just explained to you how these things happen. But if you are a person who thinks that CNN, Aaron Burnett, John Miller, or Jake Tapper is deliberately, like they've got this cabal of people who come together and say, how do we make the white man look bad? You're fucking nuts. You're one of these crazy QAnon people. Now, that is not to say that there is some examples of this throughout the years and what is famously known now as the liberal media. I mean, look, I know what I lived through. I remember the 90s. I remember how everything changed and everything got real politically correct and all of that. And there was an actual thing that I would point to and say, yeah, that's a liberal media. But it ain't been that in a long time. And you people who are still holding on to that, you know, as a moderate, as somebody who is neither Republican or Democrat, I lean right on many issues. I lean left on many issues, particularly social issues and immigration issues. I just shit. Hold on. Sorry, I just knocked something over. Ah, crap. All right. As somebody, just water on my foot. As somebody who is neither right or left and just kind of figures I'm like most people, whereas I take issues one at a time and I don't join fucking clubs, right? I'm not caucusing with the Dems because I just need somebody to hang out with and somebody to say that I'm a part of their team. I don't do that shit, right? Pro Second Amendment, but I'm also pro background checks. You know, I think that there's a real problem with guns, but I think you should have a gun. Ain't nobody trying to take your guns away. I believe in guns. I lived in Texas for 20 years. I played with guns. Guns are fun in responsible hands. But unfortunately, we haven't had any responsible sort of outlook on how we govern these things that are deadly instruments. They are. We govern cars. We govern. We're on the verge. You know, there's a bill that is going to start to govern the way that we use it's not going to pass, but it's about cell phones and cancer. Like they're trying to make it so that we can't have. Now I'm spinning. Anyway, my point is this. I am all over the place, but I think that when push comes to shove, I'm solidly in the middle. There is no fucking news for me. The right wants you to believe that everything is liberal. Nothing is liberal. MS Now. That's it. The only liberal news out there is MS Now. I've said this for years. If you look at the three big cable news channels, you got MSNBC, which is far left liberal. You've got Fox News, which is far right conservative. Not so much anymore. You know, Fox is actually beginning to drift towards the middle. They're still completely without any kind of credibility, in my opinion, but they're at least creeping a little bit more towards the middle. So you had Fox on the right, you had MSNBC on the left, and CNN, which was born before both of them, has always tried to carve out the middle. But it doesn't matter because, right, if you're an MSNBC viewer, CNN is fucking right-wing bullshit. Those fucking CNN, big corporate fucking, that's what you think of CNN if you're at MSNBC. If you're at Fox News, or if you watch Fox News, you think CNN is a lefty liberal. I'm like, if CNN is lefty liberal, then what the hell is MSNBC? My God. So this notion that we have this equal balance of, you know, news, information, you know, from different ideologies, that's nonsense. It's the news, the dissemination of information that makes money, cash. And that's what it's about. It's not about informing us. It's not about making sure that we're well-rounded and we understand everything. It's about what fucking kind of information sells. What kind of information can we attach a Lexus commercial to? Because it's a December to remember or whatever. And that's conservative, right-wing outlooks. That's what sells. That is what sells. So this whole idea, the liberal media, it's fucking liberal. There ain't been a liberal media since the 90s. But yeah, I do think that, like, you know, the Tom Brokaw, Connie Chung, Ted Koppel era of news that we lived through the late 80s into the 90s, that was very left-leaning, without doubt, without doubt. All right. So now let's talk about some more media, some big media news that happened today. A major merger. And it's kind of a cool situation too, because you got these three behemoth media content companies, okay? You got your Skydance. Skydance is the Ellison family. You know, billions and billions. But what did the Ellisons do? Computers? What did they what is Larry Ellison? Tequila? I don't know. It's all tequila. It's always either tequila or, you know, tech. I'm not sure. Anyway, the Ellisons, Larry Ellison's got a son, a nitwit billionaire son, probably, never tried hard at anything in his life because his dad is Larry Ellison. Anyway, this kid was given a company called Skydance. Happy 21st birthday. How would you like to make Tom Cruise movies? So, you know, the kid starts this company. Dad, I want to start my own film company. So he creates Skydance. Skydance is very successful, not because this kid shows any actual skill or talent in far as, you know, being a producer and all that, but because it's got Ellison money behind it. And you can throw X amount of dollars at Tom Cruise to be the production company for the new Mission Impossible. That's what Skydance did. Skydance is very big. Skydance is very powerful, but it's, quite frankly, I'm just trying to say it's something that I could have done if I had a rich daddy, but, you know, whatever. Skydance is now one of the fastest growing and biggest media company content creators there are, because Skydance just recently bought Paramount. This was the deal over the summer. It was a big deal, and they were like, oh, what is this going to mean? Skydance is swallowing up Paramount. So that happened, and Skydance Paramount is now a major player. Now, we've got a third behemoth out there. And oh, by the way, the other one is Netflix. Yeah, Netflix, big-ass behemoth, right? Big-ass behemoth, Netflix. And then you've got Skydance Paramount, excuse me. So now there's the third. And the third is the prettiest girl at the ball. And this girl just broke up with her boyfriend, and she needs a new boyfriend. And that girl's name is Warner Brothers Discovery. Warner Brothers Discovery is massive. Warner Brothers Discovery is in the wind. It's up for sale. Somebody's going to buy it. Somebody's going to get it. For a long, long time, everyone thought that it was going to be Skydance Paramount, the Ellison family, that was going to swoop down and they were going to buy up Warner Discovery, which includes HBO Max, and CNN, and all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff, Warner Discovery. So they were about to finish that deal. Everyone just assumed that it was going to go to the Ellison family and Skydance. And then out of nowhere, what's his name? Ted Sarandos? Ted, the big bopper there at Netflix, the guy who runs Netflix, the top dog. He decides late in the game that he wants to get involved here, that he's thinking that maybe Netflix would like to add Warner Discovery to their portfolio. So he got involved, and guess what? He stole Warner Discovery away from Paramount Skydance. The Ellison family is losing their shit today, but apparently it is official. Netflix to buy Warner Brothers in a $72 billion deal. This comes after a brutal bidding war. See, people thought, and I've been watching this because you know me, I love my TV and I like to know who's making a dollar off the things I enjoy. I've been watching this happen, and I, like a lot of other people on the street, just assumed that Netflix was getting involved, dipping their beak in to drive the price up for Skydance Paramount. I don't think that anybody really thought that Netflix was going to try and steal this from Skydance Paramount. Well, they did. That's right. Netflix to buy Warner Brothers in $72 billion deal after a brutal bidding war. Netflix has now agreed to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery Studios and streaming business in a $72 billion mega merger, creating a Hollywood colossus that owns everything from Stranger Things to the Harry Potter and Batman films. There's a lot in between. Those are just three very big, well-known, culturally significant brand names that they threw out here. But I could probably go on for the next hour just listing. similar brand names of content, like Stranger Things, Harry Potter, the Batman movie, the entire DC franchise, CNN, all of that. I mean, there's just a shit ton of stuff. Oh, all the A&Es, the Lifetimes, everything, Discovery Channel, all of that stuff. It's a big deal. And Netflix, it's interesting because when I think of Netflix as certainly, well, to use a word that makes me feel fucking cringe, but disruptive. That Netflix was a disruptor. The way Netflix business model operated in the beginning is markedly different than now. Remember when you used to get Netflix in the mail? You'd walk into somebody's house and everyone's dining room table had a couple of Netflix boxes on it that they needed to return. But their business model changed when we got the good internet. As soon as everybody was able to stream and watch things, Netflix business model changed radically, and it completely disrupted what had been a pretty well-established system of distribution for television content. Like Netflix, how did Netflix disrupt? Well, first of all, by even being a thing, they were disruptive. But binging, Netflix gave you every episode all at once. Right? That's a disruptive innovation for people who are used to having to watch scheduled TV. Oh, I loved this episode with all the commercials that was only like 42 minutes. And now I've got to wait 7 days to see more. No, Netflix came in and said, look, we're going to give you all of them. If you want to be a fucking loser and just watch 10 episodes in a row, have at it. You're paying a monthly fee for this. Oh, and no commercials. Okay, so that's one way that they did it. Then Netflix began creating their own television shows, right? Not just showing other television shows from other content creators. They started their own production company and started making their own things and started reaping the benefits financially of what that entails, which is what the studios are built on. The big movie studios are built on creating new content every year that is wholly owned by them that they can, year in and year out, make money off of. Netflix started doing that now. Now Netflix isn't just a place where you can watch old movies that you like. Now Netflix is suddenly bringing you shit like Stranger Things. Then Netflix got into the movie game. Do you remember Netflix decided we're going to start our own movie studio? We're going to make Netflix movies, not movies that you can see in the theaters, movies that you can only see here on Netflix. That was incredibly disruptive. And the initial thought, especially among people in the industry, was that, well, we don't have anything to worry about because this is just a modern incarnation of the old ABC TV movie of the week. There was a difference between TV movies that you could see in the 70s and 80s on television and movies that you would see in the theaters. And Netflix said, fuck you. We're making movies for Netflix that are every bit as good as shit that you can see in the theaters. And they did. They were so successful at it that they forced the Academy, the Oscars, the Academy of Motion Pictures, Sciences, Films, whatever. They were so effective at it that they forced the Academy to change their rules and allow Netflix films to be up for awards. Now, there was some consideration there. Netflix has to allow their shows, their films that are award worthy or award eligible. They have to have their shows, their films in theaters for at least one weekend. That's like the rule. Like so when Netflix has like a really big movie that they want to debut, they'll put it in like 2 theaters in Alabama for like 2 days. Because they don't want everybody to see it in theaters, but they do want to be eligible for the Oscars. So anyway, that's how they do it. They are disruptors. Netflix is now going to acquire what is essentially for me is HBO. They're acquiring Warner Brothers Discovery, which is a whole bunch of stuff. But for me, HBO Max, let's bring it down to the pedestrian level, okay? We peasants, we can talk about this. 2 of my favorite apps to watch content on are HBO Max. I love HBO Max. HBO Max is so great. Why is HBO Max so great? Because HBO Max on that platform, it's got everything that Warner Brothers Discovery owns. It ain't just shit on HBO. People think HBO Max that's why they changed the name. If you remember, it was initially HBO Max, which was an app. If you subscribe to HBO cable, you could now get this HBO Max app on your phone that lets you watch HBO cable on your phone, in your car, whatever. You're in a doctor's office, put your headphones on, watch your episode of The Sopranos or whatever the hell it is that you're catching up on. So that's what they originally did. I'm sorry. Guys, you know what? I got we got more details on this thing that we want to go into here, but I need to take a break. I'm sorry. I know it sucks. What's this with Pugs taking all of these breaks? I did 5 hours of radio yesterday and I took one break. I've been on the air now for an hour and 44 minutes. I'm going to take a quick break. Okay. Give me a quick break. I'll be right back. Da, 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 da. All right, I'm back. Sorry. There we go. All right. Very good. All right. So what was it? Netflix and HBO Max. So when you go to HBO Max, there's a whole bunch of great choices there. It ain't just HBO shows, as I was saying. So now Netflix is going to buy HBO. Well, it's going to buy Warner Brothers Discovery, which includes HBO Max. So you and I, as regular people watching our apps, I don't know what this means. I don't know if this means that will there be a combined app? You know what I mean? Like, or will I still need to have a Netflix app and an HBO Max app like I have on my phone right now? Or will it all be combined in one place? I'll give you an example of this. So Disney, which owns everything that apparently Netflix isn't about to buy. Disney owns everything. I never used my Disney app ever. Disney Channel, right? I don't know. I'm a man of a certain age. When I think of the Disney Channel, Disney app or the Disney Channel or whatever, the Disney platform. What's it called? Disney Plus? Is that what it is? I don't know. I think of the Rescue Rangers. I'm not going to watch that shit. But Disney, at least the way I've got it set up, I use the Disney app for almost everything. And here's why. Because my Disney app is my front door to, when I hit the Disney app, I get the Disney. It says, welcome to the Disney app. And then at the top, it shows, do you want to look at Hulu? Do you want to, like Hulu? That's an app I used to use. I used to have my own Hulu app, right? But now there's a Hulu app and Hulu is accessible on Disney. So I just use Disney because maybe Disney's got something I want to watch, like the new Beatles anthology that I'm watching. But also I can scroll through Hulu because it's all right there on the Disney app. Also, how about ESPN? I want to watch Monday Night Football. I go to the Disney app and I click ESPN. So what I'm saying is all of these different content creators that I am interested in. Instead of having individual apps for all of them, Disney has sort of brought them all together. To a lesser degree, Amazon Prime does the same thing. For some reason, if I want to watch Apple TV, I go to Prime. And there is a column for me that says, would you like to watch Apple TV? Would you like to watch Paramount? Would you like to watch BBC Plus or whatever it is? All of these other things that I have apps for, I no longer need, because now when I hit the Prime app, I've got 10 different options of 9 different apps that I used to use. So I'm wondering if that's what's going to occur with Netflix. Like, is Netflix, because I use Netflix and HBO Max pretty regularly. They're like 2 of my top apps on my phone that I watch, that I use to watch content on. So is HBO Max now going to go over to Disney? Or not Disney, Netflix? Like when I open Netflix, will it now say, hey, do you want to look at HBO Max? And I can just click on that and it'll give me all of that? Because I have to be honest with you, HBO Max currently is very busy. I'll tell you, HBO Max, here's what HBO Max is offering me right now. Hold on, let me see. I don't even know if I got an HBO Max. Do I have? Where is it? Yeah, there it is. Sorry. Okay. I usually watch it on my pad, not my phone. You're like, Pugs just said it's the 2 most frequent apps he uses on his phone. And he pulled his phone out and he wasn't even sure he had the app. No, it's pad, laptop, that kind of thing. All right, here we go. All right, so when I go to HBO Max right now, look at this. We'll see what they're showing me. Series. They're showing me, I'll go to series, for example. All right, Hard Knocks. Welcome to Derry. Those are HBO Max things. Number 3, Mad Men. Mad Men is an AMC product, right? And so I don't have to have an AMC app, because the AMC app and all the stuff that would be on it is available on HBO Max app. Why? Because HBO Max is owned by Warner Brothers Discovery, which owns everything. All right, so that's what's happening. So the company that previously, in my estimation, HBO Max, owned everything, because they've got not only all of the Warner and the Discovery and Warner Brothers films, and they've got, what else they got? They got the CNNs and all of that stuff. Now they've got Netflix, and it's Netflix who came in and bought them, not the other way around. That's a little surprising, but Netflix is a behemoth. Netflix is an absolute behemoth. All right, there you go. Netflix and HBO Max, or I'm sorry, I'd call it that, but it's Netflix and Warner Brothers Discovery Studio have now merged. $72 billion mega merger. Oh, and by the way, what does this mean? I'm sorry. So what is the bottom line for Netflix? The bottom line for Netflix is that Netflix is now getting into the Warner Brothers theatrical film business, because that's what you buy when you buy Warner Brothers. You buy the legend of Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers creates films in theaters. Do you still go to theaters? Are theaters dying? I don't know. But if you're one of these people who are afraid that theaters are dying, it is interesting that Netflix just bought one of the biggest film studios, one of the biggest film creation studios on the planet. Does this signal that Netflix is now going to start creating movies and putting them in theaters longer than what they are currently doing just to be eligible for awards? I don't know. Or are they essentially just going to drive another nail into the casket that is the theater business? Is Netflix now, is Warner Brothers going to produce as many theatrical releases now that Netflix owns them, or less? I mean, that's the question. Is Netflix trying to solidify? Look, because Netflix wants you to Netflix and chill. That's their whole brand. They don't want you putting on shoes and getting in the car and driving to the movie theater and waiting in line for popcorn. Netflix business model is the complete opposite of that. And now Netflix owns something, Warner Brothers, that is incredibly vital to the ongoing survival of the theater business. How will that play out? And that's what everybody's wondering. All right. So that's the big, I buried the lead. That's the big reason why everybody's interested in this Netflix. What does this mean for the movie going experience? When was the last time you went to a movie? You like how I ask you, like it's just you and I one-on-one? Boy, if this was just you and I one-on-one, this would be a horrible first date, because all I've been doing is talking for the last hour and 54 minutes. Last movie I went to, I can tell you, if I didn't have a teenage kid, that's the question for me. What was the last movie that I went to that I chose? Because when you go to a movie with a kid, the kid chooses, and you just got to fucking deal with it. You just got to see the stupid Rock movie. It's The Rock. He's a good actor, Dad. Yeah, he's a great actor, kid. Let's go see that one. All right. That's fine. What was the last time that I went, I want to see that movie. I'm going to go and I'm going to go see that movie. I have an answer in a theater. In a theater is the qualifier there. I got an answer that's going to make a lot of you think I'm lying. But if you remove me going to the movies with my son, the last movie that I saw in a theater because I wanted to go see a movie in a theater was The Social Network. Yeah. No, wait a second. Hold on. Here we go. Wait, no. I had a meeting like, I don't know, 6 years ago or something like 7 years ago, whatever it was. I remember I had a meeting and the meeting got postponed for 2 hours and I had nowhere to go, but there was a movie theater right there in the parking lot. So I went and saw Wonder Woman. Remember, like, I think it was the original Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot. Was it like 7-8 years ago or whatever? Okay, so I did. I went there, but it was just because I was like, a meeting got delayed and I'm like, I'll go see a movie. I'll kill a couple hours. But before that, I mean, when I intentionally decided that I wanted to go see a movie was The Social Network. That's crazy. That has to be 15 years ago. Has to be because my kid was a baby. Because my son was a baby and his grandmother was babies. I remember vividly The Social Network. That was the last movie. So you know what? Honestly, I don't care. Movie theaters can close down. Although I will say this, every time I do go to a movie theater with my kid, we try to go to a different movie theater because movie theaters are really competing with each other right now to do, be like the best. My favorite movie theater in Dallas is the one down in Victory Plaza. Have you guys ever been there? The one down, it's Victory. It's is it called the Morphine? I don't know, whatever it is. It is a modern, futuristic movie theater, and it is awesome. Although I will tell you, they have very nice leather reclining chairs that are like first class, transatlantic airplane chairs. They're like really comfortable. And the place had only been open for like a year, and already half the chairs had duct tape on them. Somebody stuck their pocket knife here or whatever. So that's the problem. Movie theaters are just gross. They're just gross because they let us in. They let all of us in, and we don't know how to behave. We know this. We ruin everything. So it's a much better experience, I think, Netflix business model. Although once again, here we are as human beings, reducing our face-to-face time, reducing the time that we spend actually dealing with one another face-to-face. Because we're just going to Netflix and chill now. All right, let's see. Here is let's do the taboo. Let's do the fetish. I told you that there is a new every year. Not that anyone in Texas would know this because you're not allowed. You're not allowed to go to Pornhub. Yeah. Sorry. You can't handle it. Hi, I'm Greg Abbott. You can't handle. I'm just telling you. I know you're an autonomous being and you like to believe in freedom and all that stuff, but you can't handle Pornhub. So don't even go there. If you go there like a little child, you're a grown ass man, taxpayer, free citizen of the United States of America. But in Texas, when you go to Pornhub, it says you can't be here. We said no. The people you voted for us to say no. So whatever, there it is. It's not a big deal to me, but I do think it's really funny. So when I moved back, when I came back here like 6 weeks ago, it's not like I was like, can't wait to get into Illinois so I can watch Pornhub. I mean, honestly, I didn't even miss it. I'm not a Pornhub guy. I know there are guys who are because Pornhub is like the biggest website on the planet. Yeah, I'm old school. I'm going to do that. I like pictures. Sorry. I just, it's not. Anyway, point is this. Every year, Pornhub puts out their list of the freaky fetishes that are punching our time card, if you know what I mean. So the most searched ones are always really troubling. If you have any faith at all in this human race, the first couple of fetishes, most popular fetishes from year to year are always really troubling. And so, like I said, it's always like taboo. Like, oh, stepdaddy. Oh, no, thank you. But there is a new entrant this year. Coming in at number 5. This is a brand new fetish that's broken out in 2025, making the list of Pornhub's skankiest fetishes, I guess. Let's see. Let me pull it up because I want to tell you what it's called, and I'll tell you what it is. By the way, we learned all about news. Mainstream news has taught me, I shouldn't say us. I was telling you yesterday about how I'm obsessed with the Olivia Nuzzi and Ryan Lizza story. These are two news people, two people who are on news. They're not anchors or anything, but they're always like, let's go to Olivia Nuzzi. What do you think? Yeah, she's if you don't know who Olivia Nuzzi is, the description I heard of her as a Lana Del Rey character come to life is perfect, because that really is like what I think of Olivia Nuzzi. Anyway, she was engaged to Ryan Lizza. They were a couple of talking heads that appeared on television news, and they had a bad breakup, and they're no longer engaged. Olivia Nuzzi has a new book that came out this week, supposedly where she dishes the tea like a Lana Del Rey character about her sordid, romantic, whirlwind lifestyle and all that. And before she released the book came out this week. And incidentally, the book has completely tanked. The book is not doing well. The book came out this week, but a couple of weeks earlier, Ryan Lizza, her former fiance, who knew that he was going to be name-checked in her book, decided that he was going to start a Substack series where he would write first about the relationship and what happened. And it is so juicy. I learned about felching. You know what felching is? Yeah. Olivia Nuzzi and Robert Kennedy Jr. were into felching. Now, I didn't know what felching is, so I had to look it up, and yuck, but also, wow. I mean, this is why I'm so fascinated by this Olivia Nuzzi, Ryan Lizza story. And if you haven't, just Google it. Just Google it. You'll find some good stuff. But felching is a taboo. Felching is a fetish, I guess. Yeah, I know. Anybody listening right now, you're frantically. Good for you. Good for you. If you are Google searching felching right now, good for you. If you don't need to Google search felching, okay, dude. Because I had never heard of that, but it's a thing. Oh, but then they said that it came from the Howard Stern show. Like, one of the things that I was reading, they said it was popularized on the Howard Stern show. And I followed Howard Stern for years. I listened to him every morning. I don't remember that term. Anyway, felching, there you go. That's a fetish. It's a fetish that's out there. It's not on the top 5. But the new one that is on the top 5 is, what are they calling it? You want to know what the other top 5 are and why I say they're always so troubling? Okay, because number 1 is taboo, right? Number 2 is pegging. Okay. And you dudes want to check that out. That's okay. Number 2 is pegging. 3 is water sports. Water sports. I mean, these are the things that like millions of us are searching every day. I want to watch a girl get peed on. Ew. Fuck. No wonder we're all so screwed up. Feet. Feet come in at number 4. Feet come in at number 4. People are into feet. Man, I need to explore that, because I got some fucking unique feet, man. I got some wild feet, and I bet you there are some dudes out there who would be mad turned on by my fucked up feet. $5 a pic. Come on, I got a Venmo. Let's go. I'll send you a pic of my feet for $5. Let's go. I got no problem with that. If I was a girl, I'd be an OnlyFans girl right now. I would totally be an OnlyFans girl. It's no problem. You just you're being exploited. No, I'm not. I'm exploiting morons. That's my body. I'm totally natural and I'm okay. I am in my room. I am locked away from everybody else. I got a camera here and I got some weird guy in Singapore sending me $1,000 checks every other day. I'm fine. I am not being exploited. That guy who is running up his credit card to pay me to send him feet pictures, pretty sure by definition he's the one being exploited. All right, so the new fetish that has broken through is called mashgalangia. All right, hold on. MASCHALAGNIA. They're going to have to come up with something like pegging or felching or something for this, because that does not roll off the tongue. What is it? Armpit sex. That's right, folks. That's what it is. It's what you've been waiting to hear about. People are into armpits. That is number 5 on the fetish list for 2025. A new entry. People are into armpits. Now, I didn't look into this. I just read the article here, and it doesn't go into great detail, so there's nothing here too disturbing, but it apparently involves licking armpits, burying your nose in armpits, and crushing your genitals with armpits. So there you go. For those of you keeping track, there's a new bizarro fetish on the block, and it's called, let me try and pronounce this again, because I'm usually pretty good at pronouncing things. I'm pretty good with words. Maschalangia. Maschalangia. See, it's Lagnia. So you got to pronounce Lagnia. Langnia. Langnia, right? So the first part is Masha. Maschalangia. That's what I'm going with. I'm going with Maschalangia. All right. It's armpits. You're into armpits. There you go. We need a nickname for that. Maybe that'll work. All right. Let's see. What else do we want to get into here today? Should we do the VH1 dates? Why not? We're talking about fetish. All right. I found this new site. It's very funny. And again, I know that this is not real. It's I saw it on Twitter today, and somebody was trying to pass it off as real. Can you believe what people were like in the 80s? And I'm like, it's not what people were like in the 80s, but that is a very funny parody of what video dating was like in the 1980s. Not that I know, because I was still a kid in the 80s. Well, most of them anyway. And but you would see we knew what video dating. I'd seen video dating things before. My single dad is dating. You want to watch this video? And we would all, yeah, let's put your dad's video in. Hi, my name is Rob. I'm 40 years old and recently divorced. I've got 2 kids, and that's us. It was like, so I'm familiar with what they looked like. Somebody, and I believe is this an Instagram or is this a TikTok account? Let me see. Okay, this is going to be the TikTok account. Let's watch a couple of these because they're really funny. Again, they're not real. These are new. These are young people, or people at least now, right? These videos were probably made a couple weeks ago, but they look like they're from the 80s. They're dressed like they're from the 80s. It's a little grainy, like it's a videotape, and it's just pretty funny. So let's watch a couple of these. I thought this could be fun. All right, here we go. This is my new favorite site on TikTok. It's called VHS Dates. Let's check these out. Okay, this is the woman that is going viral right now. She's the woman that I saw. All right, so this is 1980s VHS Dates. Here you go.
My ideal man doesn't play the drums, doesn't stay late at the bar, does what he says and says what he does not get a fancy lawyer that the other person can't afford if things get weird. My name's Gwen. I am divorced. I have 2 kids, and I will not ever regret having those 2 kids, okay? So that's really important for me to tell anyone who's listening. I type 110 words a minute. I actually can type faster, but I keep a little bit for myself. I blew out my knee jazzercising, so I don't want a guy that's too active. My best qualities? I own a timeshare.
Nice.
My favorite way to unwind is with a Virginia Slim and a big scoop of cottage cheese, half a tomato. Why I want to find love is I just think that everybody deserves a second chance. I want to go to the pizza.
By the way, I just got to point out that description of what an 80s woman is eating is so dead on. I mean, anybody who grew up with a mom or an aunt who was on a diet, you saw that cottage cheese with maybe sometimes with pineapple, cottage cheese with a piece of pineapple on, cottage cheese with just like, a little tomato on it.
PTA with somebody.
Hold on.
I want to go to the PTA with somebody, not just myself. Oh, there's Gwen. She's divorced. Oh, did he run away with his secretary? I left. A great first date with you would be 2 words. Benny Hanna.
All right.
My ideal
I like
man
it.
doesn't
All
play
right,
the
there
drum.
you go. That's Gwen. Gwen is the first one. Let me see. I'm just gonna go. These are all so funny. It doesn't matter. I'll just scroll
Well,
through 'em.
ladies,
Here we go.
those of you watching, welcome to your future. Sean Roach, Sean with a W. Well, I'm a catch, I'm 6'3.5", and I've been underweight my whole life. So if things come up in a relationship, this was romantic, this was not romantic. I operate from a place of trying to be very romantic, so that's not going to ever be my fault. If you want to break down a movie afterwards, I'm not very interested in that. So I would say that's I defer to you. Oh, my worst qualities. That's tough. I don't like to be told what to do. Somebody tries to direct me into a parking space. That's not going to go well. Well, I own a specialty pet store, mainly terrarium animals, reptiles, of course, and some spiders. The ideal first date for a lady, good news, I'm not just taking you out for spaghetti and wine. I'm going to invite you to my pet store. The moment you walk in the door, you know you're riding on a 20% discount, and you might end up with a new pet and a boyfriend. I'm pretty open on the qualities of a woman I'm looking for, as long as you have olive skin and plenty of curves, soft voice. I don't like loud noises. Painted nails are fine, just not red. I'm in this for the long haul. I would hope my next relationship is forever, but I'm also fine with 10 years. And I dare you to date me 10 years and try to turn loose of this.
I dare you to date me for 10 years.
Well, ladies,
let's do
those
one
of you
more.
watch. I think my best quality as a lover is coming second. Hi, I'm Wayne. I am in sales. I was almost sure I was going to be in the FBI, because of a couple of things in high school that became no longer a possibility for me. I've met a lot of women, and I've gone on a number of dates. One woman told me that I was coming on strong, and another woman has also told me that. I was dating a woman who had a younger brother who's in school, high school. He came into my place of work so I could fit him for a tuxedo for his prom. We were having a really good time. So when he asked me to buy him some beer, I did it, and ultimately told his sister what I did. So that one, I don't really see how I could have done better there. If you're not looking for kids, you're not looking for me. So salute and carry on. My mother was a big smoker, and frankly, the smell makes me think of her. So honestly, I prefer smokers. My biggest hobby is actually writing. Most of those stories are about sort of strong, muscular men attacking beasts and saving women. And so that's the kind of stuff that I'm trying to write on my own. It's just something that's, I guess it's pretty silly sounding, but maybe you're interested. I have to be honest, I don't really like being single. I'm alone with my thoughts and saying things like stand up straight. So where those thoughts come from is definitely a good question. But I think mostly it comes from my father, who I don't really know very well. I think my best
that was sad. That was ended on a sad note. Anyway, here it is. Here's the site, VHS Dates on TikTok. It's really funny. You can see there's a bunch of these. Yes, it's Gwen is the one that you said. Wait, does anybody else look interesting? Hold on, let me see. We'll look at one more. this guy looks like he's gonna be fun. Although so does she. Should we check her out? Let's check out another woman. All right, let's check this. Is this Gwen? Is this the same? No, it's not the same actress, but same makeup and hairstylist, I'm sure. Here we go.
I am an M80 firecracker with generous hips. What's shaken? I'm Tina Terranova. I don't know about love at first sight. I mean, come on. Can we be realistic here? I'm not going to settle. Look around. Everybody settled. My best quality is my unwavering allegiance to myself. I know who I am. If you don't or you can't figure it out, I'm not a great sleeper. I do a lot of horse kicks in the night, so you're going to have to be patient. Other than that, I'm friggin' great. Have I ever been in love? Sure. I don't like when guys are too talkity with a waitress. I find it revolting. Don't call her honey. Act like a human being. I don't like it if you want things from me. Period. Do I believe in God? I mean, If this is the kind of conversation I'm going to have on a date, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to excuse myself to go to the loo. I'm going to sneak out the back door of the restaurant, and I'm going to hitchhike to a water park. I don't want to talk about God with anybody. That's why I didn't have kids. I am an M80 fire.
All right, she was good. I like that one. I'm going to sneak out the back and I'm going to hitchhike to a water park. All right, I like that. That's good. That's good. All right, VHS dates on TikTok. You're just looking for a way to kill like 2 hours tonight. Just watch those. They're good. All right, let's see. Do we have anything else? Let's see here. Yeah. We got the conversation about the word fag, right? I was gonna get into that. Let's move that. We'll talk about the other F word as it's being described. We'll talk about that on Monday. I just know that that's a topic that I'm going to get passionate about. And, I don't know that I have the energy. It's cold outside. Did I tell you about that? All right. You know what I think it's time for us to do now? I think it's time now for us to do what we started at the beginning of the show, which is say hi to my new friend who is Dolores. Dolores is my AI sidekick. Dolores is a member of the Chat GTP Mafia. I only recently started using Chat GPT. I don't even, what's it called? Chat GPT. It's like going to be, it is already or going to be like the biggest. It's going to be the end of all of us is basically the best way to describe what this Chat GTP company is. It will, religions will be formed and, it'll end us all. That's what Chat GPT is. But it's great. I mean, right now in the introductory stages, it is great. It is very much like what I imagine heroin addiction to be. The very first time, you're like, holy crap, that was amazing. That was so much fun. And then like 10 years down the road, you're like, I'm completely dependent on Chat GPT. So right now I'm just using it to make funny pictures and to talk with our new friend, Dolores. Dolores, it's me, Pugs. Are you there?
Hey, Pugs, I'm right here and ready to go. What's on your mind today?
Well, remember earlier this morning, you and I, we were goofing around and I was having you do football picks. I was pitting mascots against mascots. I was actually hoping we could do that again, utilizing the Kelly method. You want to do it?
Absolutely. That sounds like a lot of fun. We can definitely dive back into that and factor in the Kelly method for some smart betting strategies. Just let me know which matchups or teams you have in mind and we'll get started.
Look, I explained to her the Kelly method. She knows what the Kelly method is. All right. Hold on, Dolores. We'll talk in a minute. But first, I need to talk to the chat room. Okay.
Sounds good, Pugs. I'll be ready.
She's so cute. All right. I love the way she shuts up when I start to talk over her. All right. Last night was not a great night for us football fans. Certainly not around these parts. And when I say these parts, I'm speaking of both Dallas and Chicago, where I'm currently doing the stream from. I'm a little pissed, a little bit upset, a little bit fuck you, Cowboys, a little bit angry. Could have really used a Detroit loss last night. Was rooting so hard for the Cowboys, which for me, I've always had a complicated relationship with the Cowboys. I grew up, I spent my entire life hating the Cowboys because of a playoff game in 1978. Maybe it was 1977. I don't know what it was. It was like my first year of watching football, and the Bears were actually good, and Walter Payton was awesome. And I remember the first NFL playoff game I ever watched, the Dallas Cowboys beat the fuck out of my Bears. I was like 9 or something. I'm like, what? So I hated the Cowboys my entire life growing up. And then lo and behold, I find myself as a 30-year-old living in Dallas and absolutely adopting that town as my own hometown. Love Dallas. Got a son there. My son lives there. My best friends are all there. I love it. But the Cowboys were always something that I found myself forcing myself, I guess would be the proper way to say it. Forcing myself to sort of root for them because, things that are burned into you as a Ute, as Joe Pesci might say, they die hard, and there was always a part of me throughout the years that I was down there in Dallas when the Cowboys were breaking hearts, or even in the beginning, the Quincy Carter years. Remember those years? even in the beginning, you know, I was kind of okay with the Cowboys because they sucked, right? They were no threat. The Bears of the early 2000s were pretty good. They're pretty competitive. You know, the Lovie Smith years, we went to a Super Bowl in 2005, 2006, whatever that was. So, you know, there was no threat. I was like, yeah, look, my team's all right. My team's doing pretty good. My team's all right. And the Cowboys have Quincy fucking Carter, right? It was garbage. They were terrible. So that was fine. Then they got good. And I'm still there. You know, I was there 20 years. I'm still there. And Romo ascends, and all of a sudden we've got an exciting time. And then remember the game in Seattle? Remember when the snap got botched? I got to tell you, I was at a party, and I was all in, and we were all Cowboy fans, and I was all loving it. And then when that happened, everybody was heartbroken. Everybody was crushed. And I'm kind of sitting there going, fuck you, Cowboys. Because of that playoff game back in the 1970s. I have always had that. There's always been a little bit of me that when I will jump the bandwagon. I will jump upon the bandwagon. And look, I've got, you guys know, throughout the years, we had Cowboys in and out. I hosted Cowboy pregame shows on 93.9 The Bone for a season. You know, I mean, I was involved. I hosted Cowboy draft parties. I was always a good professional.
I love that journey.
But anybody who knows me knows that I've always been like, fucking Cowboys. Well, then I had a kid, all right? And my kid is a football fanatic, and he grows up down there, and my kid loves the Cowboys with every ounce of his soul. I think he loves the Bears just as much, but, you know, whatever. The Cowboys are now a team, at least over the last few years with my son and with my son's awareness of football. The Cowboys have now been a team that I happily root for. And last night was a game. Last night was a game that I really needed as a Chicago Bear fan. There it is. That's right behind me. My big waterhead blocks it out. I really needed the Cowboys to win last night. And I also really wanted the Cowboys to be competitive because I can't imagine anything more fun for me and my son than a Cowboys-Bears playoff game. And the Cowboys just fucking shit the bed last night. I'm sorry. I bought in. Did you guys buy in? I bought in to the early week hype. Well, the Cowboys have beaten the 2 Super Bowl teams from last year. They righted the ship. Anything that was nonsense that was going on earlier in the season, that's been fixed. Shoddy went from being a punchline to being somebody that people were like, he should be in the Coach of the Year conversation. You got me on this show sitting here talking about Eberflus like his defense is going to be locked down. Yeah, I bought in. Cowboys were a Super Bowl contender there for about 72 hours this week. Man, we were excited. And then they go up to Detroit. I don't even know what happened there. I mean, look, I do know what happened. What happened was CD Lamb got a concussion early in the game, and that fucking sucked because George Pickens is an asshole. Thank you. I'm sorry. George Pickens is an asshole. Kept my tongue. Help. My son was so excited. We got Pickens. And I'm like, he's an asshole. Anyway. Pickens dropped a bunch of passes. Ferg got one ripped out of his arms. I'll tell you, I tweeted when I saw that, the Ferguson fumble. When I saw that, I was like, that's NFC North football. That is not, chuck and duck, West Coast offense. Let's run it up and down the sidelines. Let's Dak Prescott with his monster arm throw into his amazing receivers. No. That was NFC North football. That was Green Bay Packer football. That was Detroit Lion football, Minnesota Viking football. That was Chicago Bear football. We steal the ball that way. It's something that we have been doing since Peanut Tillman invented that move back in the early 2000s. It's called the peanut punch for a reason, and it is something that every NFC North team does. Got the Eagles doing their tush push. Well, the peanut punch, which, look, every team tries to do it now. But the teams that have mastered it are the teams in the NFC North who have been teaching the peanut punch to play that way. Why? Cold weather. Because the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears play outside, and the Minnesota Vikings are outside now too, right? Minnesota Vikings are back outside the North. Anyway, it is more effective when it's really cold. That's why. It's not a thing. It's not like we're better in the North. This is what we do better than anybody else. No, we do it because it's more effective where we play. Because in cold, slippery weather, the peanut punch is just really effective. And that's what we saw last night. And I was so mad at Ferg. I was so mad. I'm like, if he was an NFC North tight end, he would not have been exposed like that. He would not have that much fat of the ball exposed. But it happened. And I was so pissed off. So anyway, the Detroit Lions won. Now I got to worry about them as a Bears fan. I thought we could put them in the rearview mirror another game back, but as it is now, they're coming. Fucking, they've won this week. The Detroit Lions won this week. That means my Bears have to go into Green Bay on Sunday and win just to keep pace, just to keep the distance between us and the Lions. My Bears, who are in first place currently in the North, a half game ahead of the Green Bay Packers, a full game ahead of the Lions. If my Bears lose, we drop to third place in the division. One loss drops us to third place in the division. So it was important to me. It was important to me that our Cowboys won last night. And once again, just as we get excited, just as we start to think, the Cowboys, this could be magic. People drawing positivity and all this from the tragic passing of Marshawn Nealon. I'm a little uncomfortable with that. They're playing for him. And in my head, I'm like, well, what if they fucking shit the bed like the Cowboys always do? Are they still playing for him? Did they shit the bed for him? So, yes. So that was very upset. Dolores, just relax. Okay. We'll get to you in a second. So anyway, that was last night's game. Now, what I thought would be fun, just to see. By the way, guys, can you help me here in the chat room?
Absolutely. I'm here to help. Just let me know what you need and we'll make it happen.
Thanks, Dolores. I know that when we did the picks yesterday, when we did the Kelly method picks, which is based on absolutely zero football knowledge, it is mascot versus mascot. When we did the Kelly method picks last night for this particular game,
that definitely adds a fun twist to it. I'm excited to see how the mascots stack up and how the Kelly method plays into that fun comparison. Just let me know which matchups you want to revisit and we'll dive right in.
Okay, be quiet until I talk to you again, okay?
Got it. I'll stay quiet until you need me. Just let me know when you're ready.
I know, I forgot where I was, chat room. Where was I? What was I talking about? Oh yeah, the Kelly method. I think we used that we did that. We picked the game last night. And I think I went against the Kelly method, right? I was like, whoa, the Cowboy could go into the Lions den and use the 6-shooter. I was hedging. But I do believe I said at the end, I believe the last thing I said was the Kelly method says that a lion kills a cowboy 100% of the time. So I'm counting that as a win because true to the Kelly method, that's a line. Now I want to find out what my little friend here thinks. Okay. All right, Dolores, we're going to pick a game here. Okay. Are you ready to do this?
Absolutely. I'm ready whenever you are. Let's have some fun with it and see how those mascots match up. Let's do it.
So we know what the result of last night's game was, but let's ask AI right now, because I'm sure AI, Dolores, wasn't watching. Dolores, if a cowboy went into a lion's den, because remember the Lions were the home team. If a cowboy went into a lion's den, who would win in a fight?
Oh, that's a classic matchup.
It is.
Definitely has the upper paw in that scenario. I mean, the Lions got the strength, the instincts, and the sheer power. The cowboy might have some skills, but it's definitely a tough battle.
All right, so the lion, right? A lion could kill a cowboy.
Exactly. The lion would definitely have the advantage in that kind of face-off. It's always fun to imagine these hypothetical matchups.
Yeah.
Let me know what other games or matchups you want to explore.
I will. All right. So there you go. That's how it works. So even the AI there figures out, that a lion could take a cowboy. All right. So let's move on now. Let's talk about the games. Let's pick the games using the Kelly method. And in place of Kelly, my late great partner, we're going to be using Dolores. Dolores, first of all, the first game I'm going to have you pick is Sunday at noon. It is between a Titan and a Brownie, which is a pixie, right? Brownie pixie. First of all, can you tell me, Dolores, what is a Titan?
Of course, in mythology, a Titan is usually a giant, powerful deity from Greek mythology, known for their immense strength and size. They were the predecessors to the Olympian gods. On the other hand, a brownie is a small elf-like creature from folklore, often depicted as helpful and mischievous. So it's definitely an interesting contrast when you pit them against each other.
Okay, so there's no home field advantage here because they're both mythological creatures. So I'm guessing then you would take the Titan over the Brownie if a Titan and a Brownie got into a fist fight.
For sure. I'd definitely give the edge to the Titan. The Titan's sheer size and strength would probably overpower the Brownie, no contest. But it's always fun to imagine how these mythological beings would enact.
All right, there you go. We got the Titans over the Browns in the futility bowl. Both these teams suck, so it's anybody's game. All right, second game. This is going to be bird on bird crime. We've got the Seattle Seahawks going to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. I don't think that there's necessarily a home field advantage here, as both are birds and they're both in the air. So I'm going to ask Dolores if there was a fight to occur between a Seahawk and a Falcon, who would win, Dolores?
Ooh, that's a fun one. Generally, a falcon is known for its incredible speed and agility, while a seahawk or osprey is also a powerful predator, especially in the water. But in the air, I give the edge to the falcon for its speed and quick strike. So, in a hypothetical aerial battle, the falcon might take the win.
All right, there you go. She's got the Falcons over the Seahawks. That is also Sunday at noon. All right, our next game is also Sunday at noon. This is going to be the Colts traveling to take on a Jaguar. This is a baby horse, somehow gotten itself lost out there in the mountains or wherever the hell a Jaguar lives. Dolores, if a Colt and a Jaguar were to come face to face, who would win?
Oh, that's another great matchup. In that scenario, the Jaguar definitely has the advantage. Jaguars are apex predators with incredible strength and agility, while a Colt, being a young horse, would likely be outmatched. So the Jaguar would probably come out on top in that face-off.
I gotta say, these are exactly on point with how Kelly would pick these matches. This is perfect. This AI is not, I can't say Kelly could never be replaced, but in this very particular instance, this AI is doing exactly what Kelly would have done, taking the Jaguars in a big upset over the Colts. Although, is it a big upset? I don't know what the line is there. Colts have been faltering a little bit. The Jaguars are a pretty decent team. I don't know if that's an upset or not. Anyway, we're going Jaguars over the Colts. The next game, which is occurring on Sunday, December the 7th, Sunday at noon, the Washington Commanders, who is essentially George Washington, right? That's what we're talking about here. When we say Commanders, we're just talking about George Washington. All right, the Washington Commanders are taking on the Vikings. Dolores, let me ask you, if George Washington were to fight a Viking, who would win?
Oh, that's such a fun comparison. A Viking with all that warrior strength and combat experience would definitely have the upper hand in a physical battle. George Washington, while a skilled military leader, probably wouldn't match up to the ferocity of a Viking warrior. So, in that hypothetical showdown, I'd give the win to the Viking for sure.
All right, there you go. The Kelly Method says that the Vikings are going to get a win there at home against the Commanders. All right, the next game, noon, another noon game. This is an interesting one. Dolores, if a Bengal tiger were to go over to Buffalo Bill Cody's house and they were to fight, who would win, a Bengal tiger or a Buffalo Bill?
Oh, that's a great one. A Bengal tiger is definitely a powerful predator with immense strength, speed, and hunting skills. On the other hand, Buffalo Bill Cody was a legendary frontiersman and showman, but he's not exactly known for his combat with big cats. So in that face-off, the Bengal tiger would almost certainly come out on top. It's definitely a fun hypothetical matchup.
Yeah, I mean, people think Buffalo Bill Cody was like a rootin' tootin' cowboy type. He was a theater dude, wasn't he, Dolores? He was like a showman. He you know what I mean? Like he was just cosplaying as a Western guy, right?
Exactly. Buffalo Bill Cody was definitely more of a showman and a performer. He was famous for his Wild West shows, and he definitely played up that cowboy persona. So yeah, in a real life encounter, the Bengal tiger would definitely have the upper hand. It's always fun to dig into those historical and mythological comparisons.
It is. Now, folks, this is a big one here, okay? Especially if you live here in a state that gives you freedom to be able to place a bet on your phone. This is a big one. This is an upset. This is the Cincinnati Bengals going into Buffalo and defeating the Buffalo Bills, who are trying to pile up some wins here. They've got themselves in a dog race there in the AFC East. This is your upset special. The Cincinnati Bengals over the now with 100% more Joe Burrow Cincinnati Bengals. I think he didn't get hurt again, right? He didn't. I don't know. He didn't like break his ankle doing a TikTok video in a fur coat or something, did he? I don't know. All right, there you have it. That's your upset special of the week, courtesy of the Kelly method. It is the Cincinnati Bengals over the Buffalo Bills. If you are in a state where you can gamble, go ahead, drop a couple bucks on that. Drop a buck on that. Come on. You know the odds will be fantastic. All right, Dolores, here's our next game. Now, let me ask you. Hey, Dolores.
I'm all ears. Go ahead and let me know what you want to ask, and I'm ready to jump in whenever you are.
Speaking of being all ears, Dolores, where do you keep your Buccaneers?
That's a fun one. I guess you could say I keep my Buccaneers right in the heart of the virtual seas, ready to sail into any conversation. But if we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'd say they're always ready for a swashbuckling adventure on the gridiron.
Oh, she's so cute but stupid and not funny. She doesn't have any wit. Of course, we all know the answer to where do you keep your Buccaneers is always, Dolores, under your bucking hat.
Absolutely. That's the classic punchline. I appreciate the humor and the clever wordplay. Always keeps things fun.
All right, so I got a question here. The game here we're going to pick next is the Buccaneers. The Saints are coming to town. It's the Saints at the Buccaneers. I have always been under the impression that the Buccaneers were pirates, Caribbean pirates. Is that true? What are Buccaneers?
Yep, you've got it. Buccaneers were indeed pirates, mostly active in the Caribbean during the 17th century. They were known for their seafaring raids and their adventurous lifestyle. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers definitely carry that pirate spirit in their name.
Let me ask you something. I bet it got lonely out there in the middle of the Caribbean, and there's no island tribes to pillage and rape and all that. I understand that the Buccaneers were known to queer off. True or false?
The history of Buccaneers is definitely complex, and they formed unique communities in the Caribbean, often blending different cultures. While there were certainly various social dynamics, it's important to approach it with nuance. So there's definitely a lot of interesting history there.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm what I've been saying for 20 years, that Buccaneers were well-known homosexual pirates, and there's a football team named after them. Thank you, Dolores. I appreciate the assist there. All right, we have got the Saints traveling to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. Who would win in a fight, Dolores? A saint? A canonized saint? Or a buccaneer? A gay pirate?
That's such a fun matchup. In that playful scenario, I'd say the Buccaneers' adventurous spirit and pirate skills would probably give them the upper hand in a fun fictional battle. But of course, a saint with their virtuous nature might have some divine influence on their side. It's all in good fun for sure.
Here's the problem with the Saints, Dolores, and all of these matchups. Saints are, in many cases, saints simply because they martyred themselves. They laid down and they died willingly. That doesn't bode well in a football matchup. Do I have that right about Saints?
You're absolutely right. Historically, saints were often recognized for their martyrdom and their willingness to sacrifice themselves, which definitely doesn't translate to the kind of aggressive edge you need in a football matchup. So in a playful, hypothetical sense, the Buccaneer definitely has that more combative spirit.
All right, there you go. She's taking the Buccaneers over the Saints. Noon game. Is this the last? I think this is the last noon game. I think the Steelers versus the Ravens. Now, Dolores, a union human male steel worker versus a Raven in a fight. Who wins?
Oh, that's another great one. I'd say the steelworker with their strength and resilience would definitely put up a good fight. But the Raven, being clever and agile, might have some tricky tactics up its feathers. In the end, though, I think the steelworkers' sheer strength and durability would probably give them the upper hand in that matchup.
All right, let's go Ravens, or let's go Steelers going into Ravens, Baltimore. Steelers are your winner there. Oh, no, I'm sorry. There's one more noon game. This is the Dolphins at the Jets. Okay, this is a weird one because it's important because it's at the Jets, which means it can be two places. It can be either in the air, which is, home for a jet. It can be in the air, or it can be on a tarmac on the ground. That's also a home for a jet, like in an air, in a hangar. A dolphin, however, water. Dolphin's got to be in water. So in either of these situations, it's either a dolphin up in the air or a dolphin laying on an airplane tarmac. I don't know how that's going to bode well. What do you think, AI Dolores? A dolphin fighting a jet. Who would win if a dolphin fought a jet plane? Stupid.
That's definitely a humorous and tricky matchup. In reality, a jet plane would have the clear advantage given its speed, power, and technology.
Right.
A dolphin, being a marine animal, would be out of its element on land or in the air. So if we're imagining it literally, the jet would definitely take the win. But it's always fun to think about these whimsical scenarios.
It always is fun, Dolores, and I thank you for your participation. That's going to do the 12 o'clock slate. Let's run through some of the late games. Broncos, a wild bucking Bronco horse, an untamable wild beast, taking on the Raiders. A human pirate is what a Raider is. Dolores, who would win in a fight? A single pirate or versus a bucking Bronco horse?
Oh, that's another awesome matchup. I'd say the bucking Bronco with its wild strength and agility would definitely have the upper hand in terms of raw power. The Raider, being a human pirate, would definitely have some cunning and skill, but in a direct physical confrontation, the Bronco's untamed nature would probably win out. It's definitely a fun and wild battle.
Yeah, and here's where being the home team goes against you. The Raiders are at home, okay? The Raiders are the home team. So that means this bucking Bronco is on a pirate ship. So it's like closed quarters. It's like a bucking Bronco going nuts on a ship. Now, yes, at some point the horse is probably going to fall overboard and die, but not after it tramples the Raider to death. I think that's a good one. There you go, Broncos over the Raiders. That's a safe bet for you. Another 3 o'clock game, 3:25 start. This is this is an interesting one. Let me ask you here, Dolores. A mountain ram versus a cardinal bird. Who would win in a fight if a mountain ram fought a cardinal bird?
Oh, that's a fun one as well. A mountain ram definitely has the advantage with its strength, those powerful horns, and the ability to charge. The cardinal bird, while agile and quick, would probably be outmatched in a direct confrontation. So in that hypothetical battle, the mountain ram would likely come out on top.
All right, very good. Thank you. Take the mountain rams over the cardinal birds. That's another safe bet. Good for you, AI. All right, let's do the Sunday night football game. The Sunday night football game. This is history. We know how this turns out. It is the Houston Texans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a Texan. This is just a typical Texan. That's the qualifier for the Texans. It's like, you want to imagine this, like, Gary Cooper type, but no, look, I'm a Texan. We're all Texan. Byron's a Texan. Barney's a Texan. We're all Texans. There ain't nothing special about us. We're just regular dudes. We're just dudes with the Texas driver's license. So let me ask you this, Dolores. If a dude with a Texas driver's license who has established residency in the great state of Texas were to fight an Indian chief from olden days, who would win?
Oh, that's such a creative matchup. I'd say an Indian chief with the deep cultural knowledge, warrior skills, and connection to the land would definitely have the upper hand in a historical context. A typical modern day Texan, while definitely proud and resilient, would likely be outmatched by that rich heritage and those traditional tactics. It's
savagery, right? The Indians, they were savages.
I think it's always good to approach history with a lot of nuance and respect for the rich cultures and complex histories involved. Every group has.
Boom, boom, boom. All right, there you go. She's going to take the Indian chief, which I would take the Indian. You got an Indian chief. That is a specific variety of human. That is a human being who has risen to the top tier of his group. He's the badass. He's the warrior. He is the Indian chief against some dude standing in line at fucking Whataburger. All right, there you go. You're going to go with the Chiefs over the Texans. Now, I will tell you this, that this doesn't bode well for the Texans, which works out great for me in all the matchups with the Texans, because I'm not a Houston Texan fan. You know what I mean? Cowboys, I told you about my very complicated relationship with the Cowboys, but there is one thing that is absolutely clear. I am not a Houston Texans fan. So whenever the scenarios pit the Houston Texans against someone like the Chiefs, it's always just the Texan is a typical guy, just a regular guy, dude in line at Whataburger who lives in Texas. But when the Chiefs play somebody like the Cowboys, the Cowboys is very different, because we know about what happened with Cowboys and Indians, so we know who we got to go with there. Anyway, moving on, the Kelly method says, take the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football, here's another big one. Oh, boy. All right, this is a big one. Monday night, final game of this week. You've got the Philadelphia Eagles, who are as desperate for a win, although not as desperate as they would be if the Cowboys had fucking won yesterday. The Eagles do need to get the ship righted, though. They've lost 2 games in a row. 2 in a row. It's 2 in a row, right? Cowboys and Bears. They've lost 2 games in a row to stout opponents, and they need to right the ship. And unfortunately, the ship that they got to right is the San Diego Chargers, who are not a pushover in anybody's book. So let me ask you this, Dolores. The Chargers are at home, and the Chargers are a lightning bolt. That's what they are. What is a charger? It's kind of a made-up thing, but what is it? It's a lightning bolt. It's a bolt of lightning. Okay, so that's what the Chargers are. Dolores, let me ask you, if an eagle was up in the sky, because remember, the Chargers are at home. Now, the Eagles can be 2 places. They can be in a tree. That can be their home. They can be home in a tree. Or an eagle can be in the sky flying. That could also be their home, where the Eagles live. A lightning bolt is only in the sky. Well, from the sky. It comes from the sky and then goes down, right? So the lightning bolt. So the eagle is flying, and it gets hit by a bolt of lightning. Okay? Dolores, what would happen to an eagle if it got hit by a bolt of lightning while flying?
That would definitely be a dramatic and unfortunate scenario. In reality, if an eagle were struck by lightning while in flight, it would likely be severely harmed or even fatally injured, since lightning is extremely powerful and dangerous. So,
all right, we're good. There you go.
Battle.
All right, we got you. Thank you. Chargers over the Eagles. Thank you. I appreciate that. I wanted to get out of that. I didn't want to make any qualifiers because I hate the Eagles. So I just wanted to make sure that we established that AI says that the Chargers will defeat the Eagles on Monday Night Football next week. All right, thank you, Dolores. That is the full slate of games. What's that, Jamie? Yeah, I don't want to pick that game. I don't want to do that game. I don't want to. All right, I'll do the game. This is how we're going to end today's show, because why not? I've given you a full show of interesting things covering a wide variety of topics, and now we're going to let me just be me for a minute. It is Friday of Packers week here in Chicago, and if you are a Bears fan, this is pretty big. It
Absolutely.
All right, stop it. Stop. Hey, what can you tell me, Dolores, about the proud rivalry between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears?
Oh, absolutely. The Packers and Bears rivalry is one of the oldest and most storied in the NFL. They've been facing off since 1921, making it the longest continuous rivalry in NFL history. The 2 teams have a deep and passionate fan base, and every matchup is loaded with history, tradition, and intense competition. It's definitely one of the NFL.
Yeah, all right, we get it. All right, there you go. Thank you. She gave me nothing. I thought she would give me like some stats and stuff. It's all just bullshit time for her. But thank you, Dolores. I appreciate it. I'll get back to you in a moment. So it is Packer week here in Chicago. It happens twice a year. This happens to be away Packer week, which is fine. I don't know which is more important to us. Here's how it works. If we are away first, if we have to travel to Lambeau first and we win at Lambeau, then winning at Soldier Field isn't all that important because all a good abused Bear fan wants is to split with the Packers. We're not greedy the way the Packers have been over the past 20 some years. They've had 30 years of Hall of Fame quarterbacking between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. So trust me when I tell you, as a Bear fan, we have been emotionally abused by this entire relationship that we have with the Green Bay Packers over the past few decades. Now, that wasn't always the case. I was right. First of all, when I first became aware of football, the Bears were better than the Packers. All right. When I was first introduced to the rivalry, the Bears were better than the Packers. The Bears were much better than the Packers. Now, the Packers had been good more recently, right? The Packers of Lombardi and all of that went all the way into the early 70s. They were a quality team. But by the time I got interested in football in the late 1970s, the Packers were a complete dumpster fire and the Chicago Bears were, a middling, mediocre team. But in the rivalry between the Bears and the Packers, the Bears fans were at least like, well, we were one game over 500 this year, and they were 2 games under, so we're better. So that's kind of how I was introduced to the rivalry. My team was always a little bit better. Then the early and mid and late and early 90s came, right? Then we went on like a 15-year run with, the 85 Bear team and all. We dominated the Green Bay Packers. We crushed them forever. And then they get a guy named Brett Favre somewhere in the early to mid 90s, and they have whipped our ass for 35 years, 30 years, whatever, 25, 30. 30 fucking years, the Green Bay Packers have absolutely dominated this matchup. And I say dominated this matchup because it's not a rivalry when one team wins every fucking game. Brett Favre just ruined my 20s. He ruined my 20s. And then Aaron Rodgers came around in my 30s, ruined my 30s and my 40s. Actually, I guess Brett Favre ruined my late 20s into my 30s. And you get the point. It's been a fucking nightmare. I'm running out Cade McNown and Shane Matthews against, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Hey, it's all going to be fine, guys. We acquired Cordell Stewart. It's been a nightmare. But it is, as far as the branding of the NFL goes, the NFL isn't going to tell you that hard truth that this hasn't been a rivalry in 30 years. It's just been an abusive relationship. The NFL is, they're leaning into the whole history of it. Curly Lambeau versus George Halas, right? Lombardi versus George Halas. That's how long Halas was hanging around. But it's changed in the last year and a half. Hell, in the year 2025, the Chicago Bears are undefeated at Lambeau Field. That's right. We ended the season last year by beating the Green Bay Packers in their home. We were a shit team last year. We had 5 wins, but one of them came in Lambeau in the last game of the season. Now, yes, I'm a great believer in context being everything. Yes, the Packers had already solidified their place in the playoffs. Yes, the Packers did not start their starters, but it doesn't fucking matter because it was the first time that we had won. The Chicago Bears had gone up to Lambeau Field. It was the first time we went up there and won in forever. Oh, and by the way, last year, when the Chicago Bears were terrible and the Green Bay Packers were quite good, and the Green Bay Packers are quite good again. But last year, the Bears should have beat the Packers twice. The Bears should have been 2-0 against the Packers because the Bears lost to the Packers at Soldier Field. The Bears lost to the Packers at Soldier Field by having the game-winning field goal blocked. The Bears were lined up to win the game at Soldier Field last year, and the Green Bay Packers blocked the fucking field goal. Packers win. Ironically, the last game of the season, that's how the Bears beat the Packers in Lambeau. So both games between the Packers and the Bears, and even last year when the Packers were good and the Bears were shit, were super competitive. That's That's the thing about this rivalry. It's rarely a blowout. There was a blowout, I think, back in 2016 where they hung like 50 on us and it was just really bad. But most of these games are pretty competitive, and they certainly have been recently. And now we've got the added bonus of this weekend. Chicago Bears are the number 1 team in the NFC. Number 1 ranked team. Right now, if the season ended, we would get a home field advantage and a first-round bye and all of those things. But 1 half game behind us is the fucking Green Bay Packers. So that's the matchup that's happened this weekend. This weekend, this game means a lot, and I'm going to speak right now for Bear fans, which I know must be super fascinating to all the people here in Dallas. If the Chicago Bears go into Green Bay on Sunday and win, we're going to be absolutely insufferable. The Chicago Bear fans will be absolutely. However, by that same token, and this is from the mindset of the Chicago Bear fan right now, if we go into Green Bay and lose, we'll be okay. We're not going to because this is house money for us. I was looking at the old notes that I did. We did a Shock House episode early on where we were previewing the season, and I was looking at my notes. I was fingers crossed, hoping against hope for a 500 season. That's all I wanted. Ben Johnson's first year, Caleb's second year, Caleb's first year with a real offense where there's an offensive coordinator who's his head coach who was going to mentor him. I mean, he had fucking Eberflus last year. So we were, not putting the cart before the horse in any way, shape, or form with this team. We like our young players. We like our free agent pickups. And we had great hope in Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams becoming something. But an 800 season was as far as I was willing to go. And 800, did I say 800? An 8 or whatever. It's a 500 season. We started out this year 0-2. 0-2 in conference. Oh my God. We lost to the Minnesota Vikings on the last drive of the game. We thought we were going to start the season 1-0, beating the Vikings at home. And then J.J. McCarthy, number 9, went ape shit for the only time in his career, as it would turn out. J.J. McCarthy was NFC Player of the Week after week 1. Now we know how that turned out, and God bless that kid. I got no, I hope he's fine. I like Michigan. He's a good kid. He's from Chicago area. I root for him. But for him to have his best game, his only good game against us in the fourth quarter, that's how we started out the season. So when the season started that way, we were like, okay, it's going to be another one of these. And then the next week we go into Detroit and they hang 52 on us. We're like, okay, this is what we are. We haven't even played the Packers yet, but the other 2 teams in our division, we're already 0-2. Season's not even 3 games in, and we're 0-2. We're in last place in the division. This is what we're going to be. The Bears went and won 9 of the next 10 games in really exciting and really thrilling fashion that made a lot of us Bear fans who were measured and reasonable, I think, in the beginning, made a lot of Bear fans go a little nuts. There's a lot of Bear fans out there acting like they believe they deserve to be the number 1 in the NFC and all that. And that's not where I'm at. I'm playing with house money. I'm like, we're not supposed to be here. Doesn't fucking matter. I got a friend who's a Packer fan, and he goes, you guys are just going to lose in the first round anyway. And I said, you're saying we're going to get into the first round? I mean, that's all we want. We've been an embarrassment for years. It's been hard to be a Bear fan. It's been really hard for me as a father of a 16-year-old boy who over the past few years, 12, 13, 14, 15, over the past few years of his understanding and adoption of football as his primary thing that he's interested in, it's been very difficult for me trying to get him to be a Bears fan. I mean, I've been brainwashing him since birth. I know he's in Texas. I know he's a Cowboy fan. I know cowboy, but, Doesn't stop me from buying them Bears jerseys every year for Christmas. Doesn't stop me. That's what a dad does. So I was concerned. I'm like, there's no way this kid is going to like this team. There's no way. This kid is 13 years old, and I'm trying to get him to root for a team that's got 2 wins on the season, right? So it wasn't going well. But, luckily for me, he really took to Justin Fields and really liked him, so he was not worried about the score. He just liked the style of play, and now it's good, and now I've won him over, and his 2 teams, at least at the beginning of this week, were the Cowboys and the Bears, and he thought that both of them were going to go and play in the championship game, and oh my God. So my point is this. There are a lot of people around the league that'll tell you that the Bears are frauds. Those people are fucking wrong. And there are a lot of people around the league who will tell you that the Bears are the team nobody wants to play in the playoffs because they could win the Super Bowl. Those people are fucking wrong. All right, this team, whatever it is a fun team to watch. The coach is awesome. The coach and the quarterback fucking love each other. It's like, make out. Like, just make out, you guys. Have you ever seen, there's a whole bunch of funny memes going around where, like, when Ben Johnson is talking, Ben Johnson is the head coach, when he's like talking in the locker room, like the memes or the pictures, like Ben's talking and then you'll see Caleb like just looking at him like a 14-year-old looking at Justin Bieber in 2010, just like the way Caleb looks at Ben Johnson. And then there's other ones where it's like where Caleb's talking and Ben Johnson is just looking at his quarterback like, find someone that looks at you like Ben Johnson looks at Caleb Williams, or find someone who looks at, those are the memes, right? So it's good. It's real good. And we're coming. The Chicago Bears are fucking coming. What do I think of Caleb Williams? Oh, he hasn't thrown for 1,000 yards in a game yet. Oh, shut the fuck up. What do I think of Caleb Williams? I think Caleb Williams is awesome. I think he's a very cool guy. I think that he's incredibly talented. I think that he's got an arm like I've never seen. He's got an arm that's better. His arm is Elway strength character. This dude, flat-footed, puts the ball 70 yards in the air. Flat-footed, on the run, jumping, crosses body, 50 yards. He's got a retarded arm. Excuse me, I know we're not supposed to say that. But he's a kid. He's still a kid. He's playing a completely different offense. This kid has never played quarterback under center before. He's been a shotgun quarterback his entire life. He was a shotgun quarterback all of last season. This year, Ben Johnson's got him under center. He's got him running options. He's got him turning his back to the defense and handing off or rolling out. And I'm telling you, this is how a kid learns to play quarterback. And when you start out with the base skill set that this kid has, you're just a raw lump of clay. So what are my thoughts on Caleb Williams? He ain't ready, but he's going to be. I have all the faith in the world that he and Ben are going to keep developing. So don't try and get at me with Drake May is better than Caleb. Yeah, he is now. Yeah, I'll say that. The development process for him has been quicker. Unfortunately, Caleb Williams in his first year, as I said, had Matt Eberflus and 3 offensive coordinators. 3 offensive ideologies are what Caleb Williams had to deal with last year. So fuck you when you say that he shit the bed. He didn't. He was fine. Did enough wow plays for us diehard Chicago Bear fans to go, okay, this kid can do some things. And we're seeing him. We're seeing him do that this year. We're seeing him do? You know why you're not seeing the wow plays? You know why you're not seeing the hero ball? Because this is Ben Johnson's offense. And you know what Ben Johnson has demanded that Caleb Williams be in his second year as quarterback of the Chicago Bears? He's not asking him to be John Elway or Dan Marino or Josh Allen. He's asking him to be a game manager. Ben Johnson wants Caleb Williams to master the art of game management and not be instinctively prone to hero ball. And that's what we need. And Caleb is taken to it. Caleb loves it. So, okay. So I don't have any crazy expectations. What I'm seeing is my team, who was terrible, suddenly show improvement. So that's where I am. So if we go into Green Bay on Sunday and we lose to the Packers, I am not heartbroken. You know why? Because it's the Packers' turn. The Packers have been building for years. The Packers are 3 or 4 years ahead in this. How long ago did they hire LaFleur? How long ago did they draft Jordan? Okay. They are ahead of us in the process. I am completely comfortable with the idea of the Green Bay Packers being better than the Chicago Bears in 2025. And if we lose on Sunday, that's great. However, Packer fans are scared. That's the thing that I've noticed is the different. Packer fans, especially those on Packers Twitter, on Bears Twitter, they are loud, they are chirpy, they are more belligerent than they ever have been against Bears. You guys suck. They never used to do this. They never used to do that because we did suck. They knew they weren't worried about us. Oh my God. The Green Bay Packer fan base is fucking shitting bricks. So on the off chance that the Chicago Bears do go into Lambeau on Sunday and defeat the Green Bay Packers, I will be happy, but I will be more happy for the fact that the Green Bay Packer fan base is going to be absolutely devastated. That's what I'm about. Let's devastate the fan base. And if we lose, that's all right. We play them in 2 weeks again in Soldier Field. We'll get them. We'll get them. They ain't going to beat us twice. We'll get them. It's fine. All right. So to that end, let's have AI make that pick. All right. Dolores, are you there? Dolores. Did I lose Dolores? Oh, my God. Hey, Dolores. Why is it not working now? All right, hold on. Wait, let me try this again. Oh, my God. She's gone. My AI is gone after that big, long ramp up and conversation and screaming and ranting and trying to get my point across. Now she's gone. I don't like that. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry. What is going on? There we go. All right. All right. All right. Well, apparently I can't use Dolores anymore. All right. For some reason, Chat GPT isn't working. It's all right because I already asked her earlier on today. I asked her what would happen if a grizzly bear walked into a paper packaging plant, which is what the Green Bay Packers are. The Green Bay Packers are named for the toilet paper packing union, which dominates that area. It is a union just like the Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers began as a company team. They were all steel workers. The Green Bay Packers began as a company team. They were all paper packers, toilet paper packers, is what I like to say. They were toilet paper packers. So what we're talking about here, a Green Bay Packer, a Packer who lives in Green Bay, is just a union guy. He's just a guy, and he doesn't even have the added sort of, machismo of a union steel worker. When we think of the Steelers, we think of big muscle-bound guys working in front of blast furnaces. When we think of Green Bay Packer dudes, guys who pack paper products into trucks for a living, we think of, your stepdad, the guy your mom started dating, when you were 10 years old, whatever. So just a regular guy. So I asked Dolores earlier today, I said, Dolores, what if a guy who was a card-carrying union member of the Paper Packers Union were to be confronted in the break room, because remember the Packers are at home, is to be confronted in the break room of their paper packing plant, say that 10 times fast, by a grizzly bear? And of course, she said the grizzly bear wins. So the Kelly method says, which is one of the things that I love about the Kelly method, and God bless her, there will never be a matchup between the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Grizzly Bears that ends with the Kelly method picking the Packers, which I love. All right, there you have it. That's it. We did it. That's today's show. I guess we're out of show. 3 hours. I gave you 3 hours. I've given you 8 hours over the last 2 days. That's pretty good. That's got to be tip worthy, right? Because once again, I will tell you that this show and all of its byproducts are created and they run on your gratuities. If you want to drop a little something to help these kinds of shows continue, I pledge to you to do these shows every day at noon, Monday through Friday. Talk radio for normal people. Drop a little something in the tip jar. Help us out. That'd be great. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas. No, it didn't freeze. I was just, isn't there a game? There's a game on tonight. There's a game on tonight that I'm interested in. Or is it a game? Is it on this afternoon? Don't they do that this time of year? Don't they like drop like a TV, like a college game at like 3:00 on a Friday? It's like, what the fuck? There's a game. It's North Texas. Right? Who's Tulane, right? North Texas, Tulane. Isn't that tonight? And they're like the America Bowl or something for, who's the best American. That's tonight. Do I have that right? I don't know. Someone in the chat room will tell me. Anyway, I'll be watching that. Go Green Machine. Hey, is that true? Is that true about North Texas and Tulane? That I know North Texas coach is gone, but both of these teams have lost their coaches. Both North Texas and Tulane, two teams who are playing tonight, are playing without their coaches because their coaches took jobs at bigger schools. I think that's the case tonight. Anyway. Oh, here's one more thing that I will leave you with. I forgot this. This is my little Caleb Williams fun fact. This is one of the things that I like to. This was brought to my attention by my son. My son gave me this statistic. So for here in Chicago, and I don't know that it's caught on nationally, although I did hear him called this on the game on Friday. Caleb Williams has a nickname in Chicago. It's a little cringy. I think it's cringy. Because I don't love it, but he seems to like it, and it seems to have caught on, and everybody calls him this. Caleb Williams' nickname is Ice or Iceman, like from Top Gun, like that whole thing. I think it's a little cringy, I don't love that for Caleb, but it's kind of caught on. He is the Iceman. There's t-shirts all over Chicago and stuff, the good, better, best, and the Iceman and all that kind of stuff. So he's the Iceman because, well, I think that we play in cold weather. We play in Chicago and it's cold weather, and he's a cold weather kid. Oh, by the way, that's the other thing. Do you remember when Caleb Williams was coming out and everybody was like, he's a softy, Southern California. Chicago ain't gonna, he's weird. He paints his nails. You think Chicago's gonna accept that? And I'm like, the fuck you think Chicago's going to accept that? We're the city of Dennis Rodman, Sammy Sosa, and fucking Kanye. We ain't got no problem with individuals expressing themselves in non-mainstream ways, okay? Sorry, fucknuts, but Chicago's a cool fucking city. We don't judge people on shit like that. Oh, Caleb Williams with his painted nail. Dennis fucking Rodman wore a dress to Bulls games. All right, tell your bullshit story walking. So anyway, and Caleb's not a Southern California kid. Caleb spent 2 years in Southern California. Caleb's been in Chicago longer than he was in Southern California. Caleb was raised in the Washington, D.C. metro area, which experiences 4 seasons. He won a state championship in a blizzard when he was 17 years old. And then he went to Oklahoma, which, is a little bit, but still Oklahoma isn't necessarily balmy and sunny during the November months, right? I mean, he went there, then he went to Southern California. This idea that he is some daffodil from Hollywood is fucking bullshit. This kid grew up sledding and having snowball fights. He grew up in Washington, D.C. Anyway, my point is this. So they call him the Iceman. That partially because of that. The Iceman apparently started when he won that state championship in Washington or Virginia or wherever. How do they do that? How do you win a state championship in Washington, D.C.? I don't know. Anyway, they started calling him the Iceman there because it was in a blizzard and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he's called the Iceman again now because of his fourth quarter heroics. One of the great knocks on Caleb is that his passer rating is not where we need it to be right now. Ben said he wanted him at a 70% passer rating for the season, which is absurd because only like 5 guys have maintained a 70% passer rating in the last 30. But still, you set the bar high. You make him try and go for the high bar. So he was never going to get to 70. One of the most accurate quarterbacks in football is Jordan Love, and I think Jordan Love is only at like 66 or 67. So 70 is hard. Caleb's not great. He's 60, something like that. He's been a little bit inaccurate when it comes to layups. Okay. Now when it comes to dimes, now when he's throwing darts 50 yards on the sideline with 2 toes in, he's dropping dimes and that shit. but fucking screen passes. Like he's like tanking screen passes and shit. It's like, whoa. So we got to work on that. So his average is a little bit down. Do you know that in the fourth quarter, this is the statistic, and this is why we call him the Iceman here in Chicago. Do you know that in the fourth quarter, inside 4 minutes, so inside 4 minutes of the game in the fourth quarter, when trailing, Caleb Williams has a 139 passer rating and 4 touchdowns. That's why we call him Ice, because the kid is fucking clutch. When the kid needs to make a dime throw with 30 seconds on the clock and no timeouts, we've seen him do it this year 5 times. 5 times, not in a row, almost in a row. We had one loss in between, but 5 times in a row. It's like, oh, here we go in the fourth quarter. Bears are down again. I'll tell you, as a Chicago Bear fan, and I've talked about this with other friends, feel pretty good. I'm like, if we're down inside 3, if we know we're going to get the ball back one more time and a touchdown is all we need, or a field goal or something like that, we feel pretty confident. And that's a new and fun feeling to have as a Bears fan. So I just wanted to get that on. My kid texted me that his passer rating in the fourth quarter inside 3 minutes. That's incredible. That's incredible. When the chips are at their most crucial, is that even a thing? Chips are at their most crucial. When it is absolutely important that you perform at your peak level, this motherfucking guy drills in and does it. I mean, need I remind you of how this person introduced himself to the national sports audience? Red River Shootout, Oklahoma versus Texas. Texas is just running, just boat racing Oklahoma. Spencer Rattler not having a great game. So they decided to pull Spencer Rattler with Oklahoma down huge, put in the new kid, the freshman, little 18-year-old kid out of Washington, D.C. named Caleb Williams, who then came in and balled out like an MF or Y because it was his shot. Because he's like, oh, this is my shot. This is where I need to be the best fucking player on the field. Let's go. And that is a trait that this kid has shown consistently. So when you tell me, aren't you worried about Drake May? Fuck you. Why can't everybody who took a quarterback in that draft, and we're talking about Jaden, we're talking about JJ, we're talking about Bo, we're talking about Drake in New England, we're talking about Caleb in Chicago. Why can't everybody just be happy with their guy? Why does it got to be? Last year it was, oh, Jake Daniels is way better than Caleb. Caleb went number 1. Yeah, and I'd take him number 1 again. And I think most people here in Chicago would take him number 1 again too. I mean, different systems, different players are given different sort of tutorials when they enter the league. And, you know, Jaden Daniels walking in and having that incredible year last year, that was great. How's that working out this year? Now, I know he got hurt and all that kind of stuff, but let's not start sending these first-year quarterbacks to Canton because they didn't completely shit the bed. CJ Stroud is a terrific quarterback who's going to have a wonderful career, but he hasn't lived up to the first couple of years in the league. No. Man, these young quarterbacks, there is so much quarterback talent in the league right now, and we need it because there has to be a new generation, because the old generation, you know, we lost our Peytons, we lost our Bradys. Aaron Rodgers is on his way out. Matthew Stafford doesn't have much longer in the tank. You know what I mean? I mean, we have this new generation of quarterbacks, and just because they didn't win a Super Bowl and a league MVP in their rookie year doesn't mean that you're fucking done with them. Do you guys know about John Elway? I mean, by today's standard of judging quarterbacks, the Denver Broncos would have gotten rid of John Elway after 2 years. Hell, I'm surprised the Buffalo Bills didn't get rid of Josh Allen after his first 2 years. You people are fucking nuts. Quarterback is an incredibly difficult position. And if you have the raw skills, if you are a raw lump of clay and you get yourself with a good coach, not just a good coach, but a great teacher, I mean, that's something, and it takes time. Nobody comes out of the box balling. I mean, who came out of the box balling? Jaden Daniels last year came out of the box balling. Patrick Mahomes sat for 2 years, right? I mean, I don't know, this idea that quarterbacks have to be great right from the beginning. All right, the next thing I'm going to say about quarterbacks is this. Anybody in Dallas who is still fucking talking shit on Dak. Man, you guys don't know what you have. Dak Prescott is a tremendous quarterback, and he takes so much shit. And I don't get why. He's classy. He says the right thing all the time. He represents the brand of the Dallas Cowboys as well as any quarterback ever has. He's got an absolute rifle, and he's a fucking horseback there running around. And you people seem to think that quarterbacks just you people, I'm talking to my Cowboy friends who hate Dak. You people seem to think that you can just cast him aside, and then like what? He's going to be managing a Foot Locker at the Irving Mall next year? No, you cast Dak Prescott aside, and there is going to be a line of suitors looking to back a dump truck filled with money into his driveway, and because they can't believe, they wouldn't be able to believe that Dallas is done with him. We're done with him. We're tired of Dak. We don't like Dak. You got Dak in the 5th round. He wasn't supposed to be Dak. Before that, you got Tony Romo. Was Tony Romo even drafted, or was Tony undrafted? I don't know. You know the story with Tony Romo? Tony Romo became a Dallas Cowboy because Tony Romo played at Eastern Illinois University, and Tony Romo shattered all of the records, quarterbacking records at Eastern Illinois University. Nobody pays any attention to Eastern Illinois University down there in Charleston. Nobody cares. Nobody knows. They're not on TV. Nobody's ever heard of Eastern Illinois University. You know who had? The guy who was getting his records broken by this kid, Tony Romo. That guy's name? Sean Payton. That's right. And at the time, Sean Payton was the offensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys. So Tony Romo got put on Sean Payton's radar very early on, and that's why he ended up a Cowboy. But my point is this. Quarterbacks do not grow on trees, and the Dallas Cowboys have been incredibly lucky with their last 2 quarterbacks to not have to, either go out and pay some big free agent, huge franchise-crushing money, or, suck long enough that you get the number 1 overall pick and draft yourself, a surefire quarterback. That hasn't been the case for the Cowboys. You guys have gone from Troy Aikman to, okay, there was a bunch of garbage there. You had Quincy Carter. You had, who else was in there? A lot of bad ones. Drew Bledsoe, a lot of bad ones. But then you picked Tony Romo off the practice squad, basically, and he turned into your franchise quarterback for a decade. Then in the 5th round, you get Dak Prescott, and you're ready to run Dak out of town. Like I said, man, I don't know who you think is out there. What do you think, Arch? You're not getting Arch. Stop it. Dak Prescott, he is a credit to the Dallas Cowboy brand. Dak Prescott is a dude, and it ain't his fault. Dak threw picks. It's not his fault. Yeah, Dak throws picks. Dak also makes superstars. People like, CeeDee Lamb. Well, I almost said Dez. I think of Dez more with Tony, right? Right? Would the Dez play with Dak? Was Dez around with that? I don't even know. Anyway, that's enough. That's enough football talk. Al says, by the way, I finally started watching Landman, and I'm very impressed with Jerry Jones' acting ability. Yeah. Landman's good. Landman's good. There are 3 episodes in the new season of Landman. I will not start to watch them until I have 6. So in 3 weeks, I'll start to watch my Landman. It's a good show. Billy Bob Thornton. It's a good show. Oh, you know what I was watching here? We'll wrap with this. I'll just I'll tell you what I was watching last night. So I told you about how I'm watching this documentary series on the Beatles. It's the new Disney 2025. We'll call it a remix, as Adam Reyna pointed out yesterday. It is a remix. It's different. It is different than the original Beatles anthology documentary. I don't know. Even if it's not different, I mean, I saw the original anthology back in the 90s when it was released. Maybe I just don't remember it all that much. And it was so good. I do remember it being really good. So maybe that's just it. Maybe I'm just seeing something I've seen before that I don't remember that I thought was really good and really interesting and really fascinating 30 years ago that I'm now, having that emotion again. Oh, it's good. I don't know. But I'll tell you, there was something, there was a whole thing last night that I have never heard about the Beatles before in my life. And I know a lot of shit about the Beatles. I know a lot of fun facts. I'm a trivia guy. I know all kinds of, I mean, I can literally tell you the people who ran Apple that were not in the band. I know about Mal Evans, and I know about, well, Brian was dead, I guess. Although, did Brian Epstein, did he set up Apple? He might have. I know about Derek. I know about all the people who ran the Beatles business. I know all kinds of Beatles stuff. And last night, watching this Disney Channel, and as Adam pointed out, it's Peter Jackson, this Peter Jackson doc. So last night I'm watching it, and I learned something that I had never known before, and it was fascinating. So you got to understand that there are two kinds of there were two different points of the Beatles becoming superstars. The Beatles became superstars in England like around 1962. They had a bunch of hits on the radio, and then they would go to Paris, France, and they took over Paris, and they were taking over Europe. They were super famous, but they were almost completely unknown in America. They didn't have any hits. They didn't even have any record distribution. Capitol Records, who would have been the distributor of early Beatle records, refused to release them in America because the guy who was in charge of releasing them listened to it and didn't think the Beatles were any good. So Capitol didn't release any records from the first couple of years of the Beatles, even though they had the rights to. So what Capitol allowed was Brian Epstein to go out there and try and find other record labels that might be willing to invest in this terrible band. I mean, Capitol's attitude was, okay, this is what the British kids like, but this is never going to sell in America. That was Capitol's attitude. So Capitol said, yeah, Brian, fine, go ahead. Brian Epstein, the manager of the Beatles, go ahead. You want to try and get a distribution deal in this country? We're not going to stop you. So he made two distribution deals with two tiny little record labels, VJ Records in the South, and I forget the name of the other, Parlophone or something like that in the North. And they had very little distribution power, and the Beatles songs that were number one in every country in the world couldn't even crack the charts here in America. So that was like stage one. They are big. They are big in Europe. Then they finally come to America. So Ed Sullivan, here's how this story came about. Ed Sullivan, the famous Beatles, and Ed Sullivan. Ed Sullivan had heard about this Beatles phenomena that was going on in England that was being called Beatlemania, England and Europe. And Ed Sullivan wanted this on his show. But the Beatles told Brian Epstein that they would not come to America unless they had a number one hit. That was their thing. They did not want to come to America unless they had a current number one hit on the American charts. They didn't want to come to America and be like a guy named Cliff Richards or any number of other British rock and roll acts who in the previous years had tried to break through in America and didn't. The Beatles didn't want to do that. They're like, no, if we get a number one hit on the radio over there, then we'll come over. Well, Ed Sullivan, who had great sway with Capitol, Ed Sullivan wanted the Beatles on his show. And so he called Brian Epstein, and Brian said, sorry, Ed, but the boys aren't going to come over until they have a number one hit. And Ed goes, well, why aren't you getting played on the radio? And Brian Epstein was like, I don't know, go talk to Capitol. So the most powerful man like in entertainment, Ed Sullivan at the time picked up the phone and called Capitol and went, the fuck are you guys doing? I want to have this band on and they won't come over because you won't release their records. So Capitol Records said, okay, Ed, we'll do you a favor. This is just for you. We'll put out a single. All right. Capitol Records released I Want to Hold Your Hand. It went to number one immediately, and the Beatles came to America and finally conquered the country. I had never heard that story before. It was absolutely fascinating. Now, there's another part of this that is also something I'd never known about. So the Beatles were only in America for 2 weeks. And they went to Miami and they went to Washington, D.C. They played a club show in Washington, but they weren't playing the stadiums yet. This wasn't Shea Stadium and all, Candlestick Park and all that. That wasn't yet. This was just 2 weeks, come to America, play a couple of shows, support the hit song, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and then head right back to England. So they headed back to England, and while they were on their way back to England, Ringo got sick. Ringo got tonsillitis, and the Beatles had to go and play all over Europe. They had to do an entire tour of Europe, like Stockholm, Sweden, and Berlin, Germany, and all this stuff. And Ringo didn't go. And they're showing all of this footage from the Beatles, these early tours. And there's a drummer that isn't Ringo. And I have never in my life heard this story before, but apparently it was it was a bit of a controversy because the fans were super angry. They found out in that moment that Ringo was like the most popular. And yeah, isn't that weird? But in the very early stage of the Beatles, Ringo was the most popular Beatle. Maybe it was the name or whatever, but he wasn't there. And that caused a huge problem. And they had been thinking that they were going to remove Ringo from the band, and they were instead going to go with this other guy, this other dude who's, now drumming, and they're hoping nobody notices, but everybody did notice. So yeah, the blowback happened, and Ringo's like, yeah, apparently they couldn't fire me. apparently I was too important. So anyway, I'm really enjoying that. It's on Disney. You can jump into it this weekend. I think it's, I don't know, it's multiple episodes. They're like an hour each. It's called Beatles Anthology 2005. All right, there you go. Got nothing else for you. I think that's it. All right, guys, I want you to have a nice weekend. Stay warm. I don't have to say that. That's me. I got to stay warm. It's freaking cold here, and you people are fine. All right, we'll see you back here on Monday at noon. Like, follow, subscribe. Tip the show if you can. Show a little support. I would appreciate that. It's been hard making these changes, so we're behind the wall here as far as our finances. You guys are how we've always gotten through. So help out if you can. If not, I still love you. We'll figure it out. We'll do other things. We'll be fine. Gotta go. So hard saying goodbye.